Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Navigation. Start on 9 Snakes Island, rewarded with a bone scraper. Chapter 121. Escape is never the solution. Unless you die, you have to take your loved ones with you. Bai stood up and stretched out a hand to Tom. Mr. Tom, you once built a ship for Roger, the Pirate King. Can't you still see through the darkness of this world? Your death will not change anything. On the contrary, it will make your disciples more dangerous. Come with me, I can protect you. Tom also stared at him closely. You are approaching me because of the Pluton design. Bai shrugged. I know where the design drawings are, but I'm not interested in that thing. What ancient weapon? The foundation of truth depends on the strong man himself. Bai clenched his fist, then loosened it, and smiled, and, Mr. Tom, I believe I can make a weapon more powerful than Pluton. In the eyes. Tom was shocked, but he also agreed with Bai's words. From the previous exchange between the two, he also saw that Bai was not an expert in shipbuilding, but he had great insights into manufacturing. Those wild ideas made him believe that this young man could really build a weapon stronger than Pluton. Mr. Tom, if you really love your disciples, you shouldn't be so helpless. Walking with me is the way to protect them. Tom asked the last question. What do you need from me to save me? There is no love without reason in this world. Even if it is the love of your parents, it is because they are your parents and have a blood relationship. Therefore, Bai must have something to ask for. Build me a boat. Bai stared into Mr. Tom's eyes and said bluntly, I want to be the enemy of the world, and I need a boat. The best boat, and more than one. Tom was shocked. You want it? Destroy the world government. Slaughter the celestial dragons. Bai said bluntly, Mr. Tom, do you dare to get on my boat? Tom took a deep breath. I can build a ship for you, but Fram and Bingshan, you can't force them, they need to be willing. No problem. Bai smiled. Aren't you leaving yet? The train will enter Enies Lobby soon. Walk. Tom no longer hesitated and left from the rear with Bai. He kicked open the door of the trunk compartment and asked, how do we leave? Bai pointed to the sea. You are always a fish man. Of course you jump into the sea. There is my boat under the sea. After saying that, he jumped down, and Tom also jumped into the sea. After jumping into the sea, Tom was surprised to find that Bai, a human, could swim no slower than him, a fish man. Soon, the two of them saw the ship parked on the bottom of the sea. After boarding the ship, they took him to visit the seriously injured Fram day and night. When Tom entered the room and saw the disciple with missing limbs, his body was trembling. Can he be saved? Bai also walked in and took a closer look. The heart and other important organs were fine, and Frankie's vital signs were quickly returning to stability. This may be a miracle. Should be no problem. The puppet stood up and Bai said, after you disappear, the people in Enies Lobby will definitely go to capture Bingshan after they can't find you. We have to take them away before them. Yeah. Tom nodded repeatedly. He didn't want to hurt his disciples. In Enies Lobby, Spandam asked people to bring Tom out. As a result, the people who entered ran out in panic. Sir. The suspect Tom is missing. What? Spandam was shocked. Why is he missing? Where are our people? Aren't there agents watching him? At this time, another agent walked out of the carriage and reported to Spandam, Sir, all our people are dead. The door of the rear carriage was violently destroyed. Tom must have jumped into the sea and escaped. He is a fish man. Spandam angrily kicked an agent in the stomach and roared, Trash. They are all trash. You can't even hold a prisoner in check. What use do you have? Look, go to the sea and look for me. Also, go to the capital of Seven Waters and bring Tom's 2 apprentices. In the capital of Seven Waters, a large ship docked on the shore. The doll said to Tom, You can't show up. I'll take the iceberg away. After that, he quickly left and went to Tom's studio in the scrap yard. At this moment, Bingshan was sitting blankly on the beach. His master was taken away and his junior brother was missing. He felt that life had lost its meaning. Suddenly, Bai appeared from the phantom barrier, iceberg. But the iceberg didn't respond. Bai patted him on the forehead, and Bingshan raised his head. It's you, is something wrong? Both Tom and Frame were rescued by me. Now the people from Enies Lobby are hunting us down. Please pack up quickly and come with me. Bingshan was shocked when he heard this, but he quickly reacted, How can I believe you? Bai Yi said. Do I need to lie to you? For Pluton's design drawings. Bingshan took 2 steps back after hearing this. Bai Yi said. If I am interested in Pluton's drawings, why are I still talking nonsense to you here? With your small body, I can kill you with 1 slap. Bingshan still didn't believe it, so Bai Yi directly grabbed him and carried him on his shoulders before leaving. Believe it or not, just come with me to see Tom and we'll find out. Bingshan struggled violently, but the hand holding him was as firm as an iron pincer, and he couldn't break free at all. After taking Bingshan to the ship and seeing Tom, Bingshan finally believed that Day and Night was not here to trick Pluton into drawings. In up to an hour, the judicial ship will come to arrest you. If there is anything that needs to be carried, you can still take it away. Bai Yi originally wanted to ask Tom for a token, but Tom had nothing on him, so he could only use this method to take the iceberg away. Bingshan shook his head. There is nothing to bring. Bai Yi nodded, so it seems that he has the design of King Yan with him. This guy is really brave. The ship set sail again, and on the way, they encountered an oncoming judicial ship. No matter how the judicial ship thought about it, the person they were looking for passed them by. In the cabin, Bingshan saw Fram with mutilated limbs, and he was horrified by the shocking wounds. Fram, is he really going to stop the maritime column? Taking the hot water and towel from Monet, he and Tom carefully treated Fram's injuries. Master, even if he survives, I'm afraid he will be in a wheelchair and disabled for the rest of his life. Tom shook his head. No, he can regain his ability to move by mechanically transforming his body. However, he can only be a transformed person in the future and can never return to a normal human being. The ship sailed northwest and finally came to a desert island in the calm belt. Solomon bowed respectfully to Bai Yi and then left the island first. Soon, he returned with a group of people. These people wore bronze masks and armor all over their bodies. The 2 people at the front were carrying a stretcher transformed from a bedboard. This was one of Solomon's hiding places. Under the surprised eyes of Tom and Bingshan, these guards carried the seriously injured Frame onto a stretcher and followed him to the depths of the island. Your Excellency Yang Yi, where is this? Tom was surprised. Ever since he got on the ship, the doll had changed its face and asked him to call himself Yang Yi. Now that he saw the battles on the desert island, how could he still not know that this was a secret base? It seems that this young man is hiding something very deep. Mr. Tom, this is a secret underground palace. It can not only avoid the pursuit of the world government, but also treat Frame's body here. Everyone came to the depths of the underground palace. Although the guards and others saw the Solomons nodding and bowing to Bai Yi, they did not dare to ask more questions. The underground palace here is as luxurious as the East Blue underground palace. A beautiful woman brought medicine and applied it to Fram's wounds. The doll took out a pamphlet from the pouch and said to Tom, Mr. Tom, this is the weapon refining method I studied, it may be helpful to you and Frame. Naturally, it is impossible for him to directly teach the divine machinery and the 100 refining techniques. These are just ordinary weapon refining methods, and there is also the Xingqi technique secretly passed down by the weapon refining sect. Tom took it and glanced at it twice, only to realize that the things recorded on it were extremely profound and were actually ideas he had never thought of. Although Tom is already a boat builder, he is not only a boat builder. He is very good at all kinds of weapons, equipment, etc. Otherwise, Frankie will not be able to make his own Gundam in the future and have so many magical ideas. Gundam is essentially a divine machine. I will ask Solomon to send some materials. Although Fram's body is broken, with your technology, it shouldn't be a problem to make mechanical prostheses for him. My weapon refining method may be of some help. Tom closed the book and solemnly thanked Bai Yi. Thank you so much, Your Excellency Yang Yi. These ideas you have proposed will subvert the current world. Leaving Tom and his apprentice in this underground palace, Solomon told everyone in the underground palace to treat Tom and others as himself. Then, Bai Yi took Monet, Sugar, Akin and Solomon back to the ship. Solomon was not completely surrendered, so he could not be left alone. Although he has Solomon's heart in his hands, who knows if he will play any tricks. On the ship, Bai Yi allowed Monet and the others to practice in peace, and taught Solomon a series of dirty work such as cleaning the cabin, cooking and washing pots. It's a pity that this guy is used to enjoying himself. Although he can do some simple work, the food he makes is really unpalatable. At Monet's request, Bai Yi finally agreed to hand over the cooking task to Sha Chen. Sitting on the deck chair, a thick document appeared in Bai Yi's hand. That was the most detailed information about the underground world given to him by Solomon. It includes the trading market in the underground world, the military strength of each family leader, various hidden connections and power connections, especially the 3 people under him, who have the most detailed information. Call Monet and hand her this document. Look carefully, I need you to take over the underground forces in the future. Monet was very excited when he heard this, which represented Master Yi's respect and trust in him. Don't worry, Lord Yi, I will definitely complete the work you assigned me perfectly. She can serve as a palace maid and become Geise's secretary, so there is no doubt about her ability. Compared with her cultivation talent, her secretarial talent is even more outstanding. Bai Yi called Solomon. Have your people secretly deliver a message to Marine. Solomon immediately took out his phone bug and contacted his men in the underworld. Expanding the sea chart, Bai Yi began to check the locations of various kingdoms. The next stage of the doll's mission is to steal the treasure troves of various royal palaces. With the power of the earthly immortal, the ghostly shadow and the phantom body barrier, he stole the treasures of 3 kingdoms in a row. And came to Sabayati land, handed these treasures to the 9-snake female warrior Luo Lin in the elite cafe, and took several improved large-scale bite bags from him. The treasury of 3 countries was stolen, which shocked the kings of various countries. They are all countries that joined the world government. The world government immediately notified Kong to investigate the matter. Marineford, in the marshal's office, Kong is sitting on the sofa reading a newspaper leisurely, and sitting on the desk is Buddha Sengoku. At this moment, Sengoku was grabbing his hair and feeling extremely distressed. The world government ordered Marine to investigate and capture the thief. The 3 kingdoms' treasury was stolen. This matter is no small matter. Anyone who can do this must be a big pirate. Moreover, it is very possible that Devil Fruit has abilities unknown to the world. But where to start? He had no idea. There is no other way but to spread out Marine's manpower and look for any clues. Suddenly, he received a secret report and nodded seriously. Kong asked, "What happened?" Sengoku replied, "The spy came to report and found traces of the Revolutionary Army." At this moment, the Revolutionary Army is still completely hidden in the dark. No one knows that its leader is Garp's son Long. They only know that there is a force that is constantly inciting the residents of the islands to rebel. The banner is to change the world and overthrow the world government. Such rebellious remarks are more abominable than pirates. Sora asked, "How do you plan to solve it?" Sengoku thought for a moment and said, "The spy came to report that the leader of the Revolutionary Army appeared in East Blue. Now Garp is in East Blue. I will send Sakazuki to lead the team to support, and I will definitely kill the Revolutionary Army in one fell swoop." In an ordinary house in Loguetown, Bai Yi made himself a pot of tea. The family does not know where they went and they have not returned yet. The 1-month period agreed with the Revolutionary Army had arrived. He walked out of the house, closed the door, and headed to the tavern where he had met Long before. Same location, same elegant room. But this time the only one sitting here is Long. "Have your people arrived?" Long nodded. "Are you sure you don't need me to take action this time?" Bai Yi said there was no problem. His purpose was to let Marine connect Op Fruit and the Revolutionary Army. If Long Yi took action, Marine would have no one to deliver the message. However, this is just a way of saying that the Revolutionary Army has a bigger plan to do. This was also his purpose in hinting that the masters of the Dragon Belt Revolutionary Army were holding the line. "Let's go." Ivankov leads the team, and senior officials such as Dragon and Crow are quietly lurking in the dark. What they don't know is that at this moment, the Marine force is also coming towards Loguetown. "Make sure your people won't leak the news." Bai Yi stood up and said this calmly. Ivankov said angrily, "We are all heroes who show up for the revolution. It is impossible for anyone to betray us." Hee. Bai Yi was noncommittal about such remarks. Traitors can happen everywhere. How could the Revolutionary Army be monolithic? In a corner of Loguetown Bay, a group of men in cloaks stood quietly here. They are soldiers of the Revolutionary Army. They have been ordered to gather here today with the goal of attacking the Loguetown Marine branch. "Is everyone here?" The Revolutionary Army is usually scattered in various places without a base, and only gathers when it is necessary to carry out tasks. Ivankov stood in front of everyone, and one of his adjutants was counting the people. Report: Ichi hasn't arrived yet. Ivankov was shocked when he heard this. These soldiers of the Revolutionary Army are all tested and trustworthy people. How could someone be absent without any reason? Feeling vaguely uneasy in his heart, he asked loudly, "Does anyone know where IQI is?" In the team, the two soldiers looked at each other, and one of them stood up and said, "I walked with IQI for a while, but I bought a drink and separated from him halfway. I thought he had arrived." Ivankov looked ugly, took out the phone, and tried to contact IQI. However, he couldn't get through. The dragon hiding in the corner felt startled, and he looked at the crow. Crow said, "I'm afraid Marine has noticed something happened to Ichi. Do we still want to continue this mission?" Long frowned and thought, "I remember this person IQI, how could something happen suddenly?" He suddenly thought of what Bai Yi asked before. Could it be that IQI was really a traitor? Or, it's Bai Yi's fault? However, he couldn't figure out if it was Bai Yi. What method did Bai Yi use to know the hiding place of their revolutionary soldiers and betray them to Marine? Long, IQI likes to drink. Maybe he got into trouble because of drinking. The crow reminded him, and the dragon felt that it made some sense, but he still felt that something was not right. Suddenly, the phone bug in his arms rang. He took it out. The phone bug was very small and could not store many radio signals. There were not many people who could contact the phone bug. After the call was connected, an old voice came, "Are you in Loguetown now?" When Long heard this, he knew it was bad. "Yes." "Let's go. The Marine spy found one of your men, captured him, and interrogated your action plan. Now a large number of Marines are surrounding Loguetown." At the bay, Ivankov thought to himself, if Ichi is really arrested by Marine, it will be too late to evacuate now. It is better to continue the mission and at least get the money. However, someone suddenly appeared from behind. "Get out." Long made a decisive decision. Whether he could complete this mission was not important. What was important was that the Revolutionary Army could not suffer any losses. Beside him, Bai Yi said calmly, "If you want to withdraw, not only will you not get the bounty, but your credit level will be downgraded from me. If you do the task again in the future, the bounty ratio will be reduced." Long can't control that much now. He still doesn't know if it's Bai Yi's fault. Just as everyone was about to retreat to the sea, 5 warships suddenly came quickly in front of them, and behind them, there were rapid footsteps. All members of the Loguetown Marine branch blocked his retreat with live ammunition. On the sea in front of him were 5 warships. Every warship has a naval headquarters vice admiral. Long was once a member of Marine, and he recognized all these people. They are Garp, Sakazuki, Geisha, Huo Shaoshan, Ghost Spider. Its scale is even scarier than Buster Call. Bai Yi said angrily, "Long, you betrayed me." Long is also furious. These people appearing today are all masters. Among them, Sakazuki's strength is not even weaker than his own. He covered his face with his cloak, not wanting Marine to see his true face. Bai Yi wore a mask and a black windbreaker, which was completely different from his usual image. The Revolutionary Army is indeed here. Akainu stood proudly on the bow of the boat. "Surrender now, you still have a way to survive, otherwise, you will die." Suddenly, he stared at Long and said, "Have I seen you somewhere?" Long did not answer. Ivankov in front of him stretched out his face and smiled. How could the little red dog have seen our great leader of the Revolutionary Army? Akainu was furious and hit Meteor Volcano directly. Countless magma slid from the sky, and the endless hot and cold air burned. In the darkness in the corridor behind him, countless crows flew out and faced the magma in the sky. The crow collided with the magma and was buried. However, there was too much magma. Although the entity of the magma was smashed by the crow was also ignited, causing the temperature in the air to rise again. Because these crows are made of coal and are engulfed by magma. Seeing that his obstruction not only failed to alleviate the situation, but actually made it worse, the crow, who was hiding in the darkness, had no choice but to stop. The dragon under the windbreaker sighed, the wind and clouds in the sky changed color, and suddenly there was lightning and thunder. A strong wind blew up, and the dark clouds condensed into large raindrops, dousing the magma. But his move also exposed his identity. Quote. Question mark quote. Akainu sneered and looked at the hero Garp on the other battleship beside him. Unexpectedly, the son of the majestic marine hero Garp is actually the leader of the Revolutionary Army. Garp was silent. He initially received an order to round up a group of extremely vicious criminals. Initially, he didn't care who the criminals were. It wasn't until he approached Loguetown that he asked out of curiosity, and only then did he know that Marine had been caught. People from the Revolutionary Army. Vice Admiral Garp, do you want to assist the rebels? Although Garp is a marine hero, it is obvious that Akainu will not give him this respect. Dragon, let's capture him without any effort. There is still a chance to save his life. Garp didn't want to answer Akainu's question, but called out to his son, with your strength, if you were still in Marine, you would be a Vice Admiral now. It will not be difficult to be promoted to Admiral in the future. Why do you want to resist the world? Garp burst into tears. Today, I will take you to Marine prison with my own hands. Garp expressed his stance, and the other Vice Admirals also breathed a sigh of relief. This powerful Marine hero was still one of their own. Since you are stubborn, don't blame me for being ruthless. Akainu waved his hand, and the Marines under his command fired at the revolutionary soldiers one after another. The Marines from the Loguetown branch behind him also fired at the same time. The war will be destroyed at the first touch. The war was triggered, and Marine took the lead in shooting down many soldiers of the Revolutionary Army, but the Revolutionary Army would not sit still and fight back immediately. Akainu charged into the formation first, with countless lava rolling down. Only the dragon could withstand such a surging attack. The dragon's fingers formed into claws, causing strong winds and rain to block Akainu's magma fist. Behind him, Geisha, Huo Shaoshan, and Ghost Spider also attacked at the same time. These three people do not have devil fruit abilities and use swords to defend themselves against enemies. Among them, the ghost spider returns life and manipulates its hair to form 6 spider leg-like extensions. Each of them grabs a sword and uses 8 sword-style swordsmanship. Crow faces Ghost Spider, Ivankov blocks Geisha. Huo Shaoshan looked at the battlefield situation and came to Bai Yi with a cigarette in his mouth. It seems that my opponent is you. Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Burning Mountain, are you a minister? Bai Yi didn't answer and whispered, room. A transparent mask enveloped him and Huo Shaoshan. In the room space, he teleported to Huo Shaoshan, and his 5 fingers grabbed Huo Shaoshan like dragon claws. This dragon claw hand looks somewhat similar to the dragon's dragon claw fist. Armed colors cover the fingers. If caught by this claw, the enemy's heart can be ripped out directly. The Huo Shaoshan blade had not yet been unsheathed, and it was covered with armed color on its fingers and thrust towards Bai Yi's dragon claw. 6 styles, finger pistol. The dragon claw collided with the finger pistol, but at the moment when the two parties came into contact, green electricity was wrapped around Bai Yi's fingers. That was gamma rays. 5 gamma rays extended from the 5 fingers, restraining Huo Shaoshan's fingers like 5 sharp blades. At this moment, it was too late for Huo Shaoshan to change his moves. He roared, drew out the long knife with his other hand, and slashed at Bai Yi with all his strength. With a squeaking sound, Huo Shaoshan used finger pistol and half of his palm was destroyed by the gamma knife. The 5 fingers connected to the heart, and severe pain hit him. The arm that cut off the long knife in Huo Shaoshan could not help but tremble a few times. Bai Yi sneered, pulled out a long knife from his belt, and collided with Huo Shaoshan's blade. Instead of using Zilu, he pulled out 3rd generation Kidetsu. Here, you cannot use your most representative strength. 1 palm was destroyed in one encounter, but fortunately it was the left hand, which had little impact on Huo Shaoshan's combat power. But the gamma rays that constantly destroyed the muscle tissue of his palms caused him constant excruciating pain. With a strong heart, Huo Huoshan took a step back and cut off the broken palm with a knife. It is also free from the interference of gamma rays. Cold sweat flowed from his forehead. He had been in Marine for nearly 20 years, but he had never been hit so hard. The battle between Akainu and the dragon has reached a fever pitch. From the corner of his eye, he saw the severed hand of Huo Shaoshan. He shouted in shock and anger, Vice Admiral Garp, if you haven't taken action yet, are you going to protect the prisoner? Garp was helpless. It was impossible for him to attack the dragon. His eyes swept over Crow, Ivankov and Bai Yi. I just thought the man wearing the mask was suspicious. Moreover, he also possesses the op-op fruit ability that Sengoku has been pursuing. With the target locked, Garp no longer hesitated and came with an iron fist, intending to cut Bai Yi into pieces. Sensing Garp's attack, Bai Yi turned sideways. Fortunately, Ghost Shadow Walk was passive, and its acceleration ability was also very low-key, which is not uncommon in the world of pirates. Quickly avoiding Garp's attack, a big hole was blasted out of the ground. The hero Garp lives up to his reputation. Bai Yi was shocked, who said Garp was the king of picking up leaks. Maybe Garp was not as strong as Roger, but he still had royal-level combat power. Marine hero. Nothing more than that. Bai Yi deliberately changed his voice, uttered a taunt, and teleported again. He slashed with Guiche in his hand, trying to kill Huo Shaoshan first. HMPH. I'm here, and you want to kill me, General Marine. Although Garp is passive and slow in his work, he will not sit back and watch being killed in the fire. He uses his peak physical skills and a pair of iron fists to create a sonic boom. But Bai Yi always escaped with ghost walking and teleportation, and continued to attack Huo Shaoshan. Huo Shaoshan's left palm was cut off. Although it did not affect his use of the sword, his strength was still reduced by 20%. Many defensive and other actions that required the cooperation of his right hand could not be completed. It would be good if he could train for a while to become familiar with one-handed fighting, but his left palm had just been broken off and he was still not used to it. About there, a strange smile appeared on Bai Yi's lips under the mask. While slashing with the knife, the dragon's claw hand grabbed Huo Shaoshan's throat with gamma rays. Huo Shaoshan quickly wrapped his left arm in armed colors and used his left arm to resist the claw. Anyway, the palm is broken, and the arm is of little use, so it is better to use it to save life. The sword in his right hand blocked Bai Yi's hand. But what he didn't notice was that just when he thought he had blocked Bai Yi's killing blow, the silk thread of his clothes on his chest quietly stretched out and turned into a steel needle and pierced his chest. Learning from Chief Ma's mistakes, Bai Yi specially practiced how to stab into the heart accurately. His heart was injured and he was still alive in a short period of time, but his heart was pierced and his movements were sluggish. Garp didn't know what happened to Huo Shaoshan. He only saw Huo Shaoshan suddenly stunned. In shock, he quickly shouted, "Huo Shaoshan, don't be in a daze." At the same time, he speeded up again to block Bai Yi's attack. "Want to stop me?" Bai Yi curled his lips in disdain, teleported to behind Huo Shaoshan again, and cut off the head of the powerful vice admiral with one slash. The head rolled down, but Bai Yi still refused to give up. Gamma rays wrapped around Guxia's sword and pierced into the chest of Huo Shaoshan's headless body. Not only was his heart broken into pieces, but the threads pierced into his heart were burned, leaving no trace. Pulling out his long knife, he dodged Garp's attack, and a gloomy voice sounded. "My dear marine hero, it is now a fair showdown between you and me." Garp's eyes were filled with fire, and even with his own intervention, a vice admiral still died in front of him. How can I explain this to the marshal? Moreover, why did Huo Shaoshan pause for a moment at the end? What methods did this person use? On the side, whether they were Marines or revolutionary troops, they were all horrified to see Bai Yi kill a naval headquarters vice admiral so quickly. Huo Shaoshan died. Ghost Spider was shocked. What happened just now? How could Huo Shaoshan die in battle so quickly? Geisha also looked at Bai Yi with deep fear in her eyes. Under Mr. Garp's attack, Huo Shaoshan still died. How strong is this person? Fire Mountain. Akainu was angry and stared at Bai Yi with eyes that were about to burst into flames. "Tell me your name." Bai Yi said proudly. "Remember, little red dog, I am a revolutionary army cadre, Oda Eiichiro." "Oda Eiichiro, I remember you." Akainu's attack became a little harder in anger. Vice Admiral Garp. As a marine hero, if the thief who killed Marine Vice Admiral escapes, haha. In this operation, Garp is the nominal commander, and Akainu is subordinate to Garp. He can only use this method to motivate Garp. "Boy, take off the mask." Garp stood opposite Bai Yi. "I always think you look familiar. Have you seen it somewhere?" Bai Yi was unmoved. "If you want to see my true appearance, it depends on your old skills." Okay. Garp looked up to the sky and smiled. I haven't seen someone as crazy as you in a long time. In a flash, Garp was in front of Bai Yi. This was Marine shaving in the 6th form. This old guy hasn't used his full strength just now. Bai Yi didn't panic at all, teleported behind Garp and slashed at Garp's neck. But Garp instantly dodged it. These strong men who rely solely on physical skills, Conqueror's Haki is terrifyingly strong. The iron fist collided with the long knife. Even if it was covered with armor, Bai Yi could still feel Gui Chei's screams. The blade could not withstand the impact of Garp's iron fist. After several collisions, the joint of the handle became loose. After all, the Liang Kue Dao is just a Liang Kue Dao, and it is difficult to function in a battle of this level. When Bai Yi faced off against Garp, he realized that this old guy was superior to him in terms of Haki and combat experience. If he could fight at full strength and use all his abilities, he was confident that he would at least be able to fight with them. But now he doesn't have much ability to display, and he was quickly put at a disadvantage by Garp. As for using chemical means to manipulate Garp's clothes like burning a mountain with fire, it's also difficult. Because Garp's ability to see and hear is far beyond comparison, he can sense the moment his clothes are manipulated and use his armed colors to defend himself. As a result, you run the risk of being exposed. After touching Garp a few times again, Bai Yi took Gui Chei back into its sheath, and if he hit it again, the sword would be useless. He relied on his speed and dragon claws to fight Garp. Although he was at a disadvantage, he was able to deal with it with ease. Did you also learn Dragon Claw Fist from my unscrupulous son? Garp asked while attacking. Bai Yi said, yes, but I have improved it, and now this Dragon Claw Fist is more suitable for me. The fists and claws of both sides intersect, and Bai Yi can feel the numbness in his fingers every time they collide. Fortunately, the transformation of the body by the immortal thief Luku was able to resolve the force he had endured. If his attainments as a Luku immortal thief were more advanced, he would be able to use an effect similar to the star shift, and bounce the energy from the enemy back out to attack the enemy. But even now, this ability to resolve force is enough pervert. Garp always felt that his fist that could flatten mountains hit Bai Yi as soft and uncomfortable as hitting a marshmallow. The opponent's dragon claws are also extremely powerful, almost to the point where they can shatter their own armed defenses. When did Long recruit such a master? He had doubts in his heart, but he never asked about the development of the Revolutionary Army, and he didn't know the details of Crow and Ivankov. On the battlefield, the soldiers of the Revolutionary Army were suppressed by the Marines. After all, they were the first to bear the gunfire and suffered heavy losses. The battle between Dragon and Akainu is at an even level. Ivankov and Geisha are equally matched. But the Crow has completely suppressed the Ghost Spider. As the commander of the Revolutionary Army, Crow is very powerful. This battle is to complete the mission issued by Bai Yi, not to fight Marine to death, so Long and others have been looking for opportunities to break out. When they saw Bai Yi kill Huo Shaoshan, they knew that the opportunity to break the situation had arrived. Crow, the dragon shouted, the wind and rain became more violent, and the Sunshuang dragon claws actually suppressed Akainu briefly. The Crow understood immediately and turned into coal ash and moved behind the ghost spider, square-pointed coal. Countless soot condensed and turned into countless giant swords falling from the sky. At the same time, the crows used crow souls, and countless crows flew into the marine and exploded. The battlefield was chaotic, and the ghost spider tried his best to resist with 8 long knives, but was still cut off by a giant sword that controlled the hair of life return. The long knife fell to the ground, and a layer of flesh was cut off from his shoulder. Blood spilled everywhere, but the Marine soldiers' casualties were even more severe. The crow showed its power, and Ivankov knew that he could not drag it out any longer. He suddenly moved quickly, causing an afterimage to appear on his body at such a speed. Galaxy wink. In the blink of an eye, the facial afterimage used a high-frequency death wink, and a large number of air cannon-like explosions knocked Geisha back. In fact, even though Geisha used her armor to defend herself, she still had several ribs broken by the gas. He vomited blood from his mouth and his death glare spread to the Marine soldiers, causing even more casualties to the soldiers. Walk. The crows and death glares formed from the coal exploded in front of Akainu, making it difficult for Akainu to stop the dragon from leaving. The strong wind picked up the Revolutionary Army soldiers and carried them onto the Revolutionary Army ships in the bay. Geoise, let's go. The amazing conqueror's hockey wrapped around Garp's fist, and he struck out with his fist bone. A powerful shock wave hit Bai Yi directly. The power of a nuclear bomb explosion made Bai Yi turn pale. In the smoke and dust, the 5 directions of enlightenment rotated around the body, blocking the power of the impact of the fist bone. FK, this old guy really wants to kill me. Although he was not injured, Bai Yi was very unhappy and teleported directly to Kesha before the smoke cleared. Geisha was surprised to see someone, and quickly activated her armed color and knowledge color with all her strength. Unfortunately, Bai Yi's speed is too fast. With a sword strike, he quickly jumped into the air, teleported again, and arrived on the Revolutionary Army's ship. On the shore, Akainu and Garp chased him at the same time. They step on moonwalk and walk quickly in the air. In this battle, not only did not a single cadre of the Revolutionary Army survive, but 2 Marine vice admirals were killed. This makes Akainu furious. Meteor volcano. A larger group of magma than the first time rolled down from the sky and hit the Revolutionary Army's ship. Vane. Long stood calmly at the bow of the ship, while the sky was filled with strong wind and rain, which not only extinguished the magma, but also blew the rocks to other places. Akainu, see you later. The crow also used crow souls again to explode in front of Akainu, blocking Akainu's footsteps. But Garp had already taken advantage of this opportunity to rush to the dragon ship. Come back with me, don't be stubborn anymore. Garp's voice was so loud that the marine soldiers far away on the shore could clearly hear it. The dragon was very ungrateful. Father, the world government is corrupt and degenerate. To bring peace to the world, Marine's justice alone is not enough. Really? Garp roared. Then I will knock you down. The tyrant's fist slammed down brazenly. Long summoned a violent hurricane to offset the power of the fist, and blocked Garp's fist Nevi with his own fist. Next to him, Bai Yi's eyes lit up. This is a good opportunity. Room. Teleporting over, the dragon's claws condensed with gamma rays grabbed Garp's heart. Garp and Long dueled with all their strength. Although neither of them planned to kill each other, there were marine generals watching the battle behind them. Especially since Sakazuki had reached admiral strength, Garp could not hold back too much. This resulted in the fact that at this moment, the old strength was gone but the new strength was not born. Bai Yi teleported and Garp could only arm his chest in a hurry. Your Excellency, wait a moment. Long was shocked and wanted to stop Bai Yi but it was too late. Garp tried his best to avoid his heart while roaring. Poof! The armament gathered in a hurry was not too strong. Bai Yi scratched the armament hockey on Garp's chest to pieces with one claw, and the sharp claws with gamma rays probed towards Garp's heart. If Garp can be killed here, the world line will change even more. Garp's face turned cold. This person is really ruthless. Not only did he kill 2 vice admirals one after another, but he also wanted to kill himself. Isn't he a member of the Revolutionary Army? Garp struggled to save himself in the crisis. At this moment, the gamma rays had destroyed his chest muscles, and the sound of bone cracking was heard, indicating that the sternum had been severed. Your Excellency, please show mercy. The dragon secretly whipped up a strong wind to stop Bai Yi. But he did it very secretly. To outsiders, it seemed as if he wanted to take this opportunity to join forces with Bai Yi to kill Garp. Vice Admiral Garp. The ghost spider came on moonwalk. In this battle, Marine has already killed 2 vice admirals one after another. We cannot let the Marine hero also die here. Akainu also smashed the obstacle in front of him at this moment. Although he couldn't understand Garp's behavior, he would not watch Garp being killed. Great eruption. The distance between the 2 sides is not close, so Akainu can only use this long-distance attack move. The arm turned into a huge magma fist composed of lava, and the magma fist that covered the sky and sun struck day and night. But Bai Yi was unmoved, and the dragon claw penetrated Garp's chest. The hurricane of the dragon in front and the magma fist of Akainu in the rear also came at the same time. A teleport in the room space avoided the attacks of the 2. Both sides buried each other, and Garp fell into the sea. Pity. Sighing, Garp is worthy of being a veteran strongman, able to avoid his heart at the last moment. Bai Yi's claw shattered his sternum and penetrated straight into his back, but it missed his heart by a hair. Gamma rays destroy the tissues in his body. Although Garp will be seriously injured, judging from the pervert physique of these strong men, this injury is not fatal. Ghost Spider quickly jumped into the sea to fish out Garp. When he saw the huge gap in Garp's chest, he was shocked beyond words. Even Akainu believed that Long was indeed at odds with his father, and actually ordered his subordinates to kill Garp. Sakazuki, you are the only one left, do you still want to chase me? Dragon hid his thoughts and stood at the bow of the ship to confront Akainu. Akainu snorted coldly. He is an iron-blooded hawk, will he back down? Ghost Spider, bring Vice Admiral Garp back to the headquarters for treatment. I will execute these traitors. Akainu and Ghost Spider are both Vice Admirals, but everyone knows that Akainu is already an Admiral backup and will soon be promoted to Admiral. He took the order and led the remaining sailors away. Only Sakazuki was left in the sky above the bay. Long, let's work together to keep him. Baiyi still regrets that he could not kill Garp directly. Now that Akainu is chasing him alone, it is a great opportunity to kill the future Marine Marshal. But Long didn't want to accept the offer. He is still angry about Baiyi trying to kill Garp. Just as Akainu was about to continue taking action, Ghost Spider, who had led the sailors back to the marine warship in the distance, shouted. Sakazuki Vice Admiral, Sengoku Admiral has an order. Cancel this mission and let us retreat. Akainu said angrily. How could Sengoku Admiral give such an order? I have already caught up with the thief. But he couldn't disobey his superior's military orders. He left a harsh word and sent his elemental form to the marine ship. Dragon, and you, Eiichiro Oda. I remember you. I will personally arrest you evil gangs. Akainu left, and Baiyi saw that Long was unwilling to take action, so he couldn't take action himself. He was worried that Long would stab him in the back. Your Excellency Baiyi, why did you kill Garp? When the Revolutionary Army's ship left safely, Ivankov angrily asked Rie. Don't you know that's the dragon's father? Baiyi was not afraid at all and also questioned him. Since we are going to trigger a world revolution, we must be prepared to exterminate relatives for righteousness. If you meet Garp on the battlefield one day, will you be so merciful? So naive, you still want to overthrow the world government? Ivankov said angrily. Garp is not our enemy. Garp. Okay, Ivankov, you did the right thing day and night. Long stopped Ivankov from continuing. How come this ladyboy king can't even hear other people's cliches? Baiyi already knew that Garp was not as honest as he seemed. Maybe he really was undercover at Marine. The Revolutionary Army has been developing latently for so long, it is difficult to say that it did not have the secret help of Garp. Ivankov was still a little dissatisfied. But, Long, your father was almost killed by him. Long said calmly. Thanks to Mr. Baiyi for doing this, my father will not be suspected by Marine. Now they have completely believed that I have broken up with Fupchi. Only, he looked at Baiyi. Your Excellency Baiyi, the promised raid on the Loguetown Marine branch turned into a battle with 5 naval headquarters vice admirals. The mission bounty of 50 million is not enough. Baiyi said coldly. Your people acted laxly and leaked their whereabouts to Marine, which led to the attack of the naval headquarters vice admiral and put me, my employer, in danger. Logically speaking, I should cancel your mission bounty directly to make up for my losses this time. Ivankov had already shut up, but after hearing him say that he wanted to cancel the mission bounty, he said angrily. We have killed so many soldiers, you want to cancel the bounty? Baiyi looked directly into his eyes. First, your soldiers died because you leaked secrets. Second, in this battle, I killed 2 vice admirals on the other side. May I ask, what contribution did you make? Third, the dragon attacked me just now and broke the agreement. Any of this is enough for me to put you on the task blacklist. You still want a bounty? Baiyi listed them one by one, and Ivankov wanted to refute, but he didn't know where to start. But, Baiyi's voice changed. After all, this is our first time working together. I'll give you a chance to try and make mistakes this time. I will still pay the bounty of 50 million Baileys. But if you make this kind of mistake again in the future, our cooperation will be cancelled. If you beat him with a stick, you will also get a sweet date, which will be useful in getting the Revolutionary Army in the future. Baiyi doesn't want to cause a direct stalemate. Where are you going next? Long thought for a while and said, if something like this happens in Loguetown, we can't stay in East Blue for the time being. We plan to go to West Blue. Bai Yi said. Since you are going to West Blue, you go to the Kingdom of Illusia. There is a restaurant here and go to their boss Jennifer to get the bounty. I will say hello to her. Give me a bedroom, I'll rest for a while, and put me down when I reach the mountain. Long motioned to Ivankov, who reluctantly led Bai Yi to an empty room. After entering the room, Bai Yi crossed his legs on the bed and focused his attention on the doll. Isn't it just for this moment that you have spent so much effort? The puppet is now on the red line, and in front of him is a towering peak. Above this is where the celestial dragons live, Mariajoy. Time is running out, we have to catch it. Quote, the puppet muttered to himself, and he stopped the ship at the Sabayati archipelago, allowing Monet and others to practice in peace, while he came to the red line. Directly using the Earth Immortal to blend into the peak, he swam upward as if swimming. This was much faster than walking, and he could also avoid the guards of the celestial dragons. At this moment, Naval Headquarters Marineford, Admiral Buddha Sengoku's eyes were red. He received the report from Ghost Spider and set out to capture the 5 vice admirals of the Revolutionary Army. 2 were killed and 1 was seriously injured. The one who was seriously injured was his close friend, Garp, known as the Marine Hero. Moreover, he has also learned that the leader of the Revolutionary Army is Garp's son, a former outstanding Marine soldier, Monkey D. Dragon. Long is the leader of the Revolutionary Army. Garp was severely injured while chasing Long. What happened? Furthermore, Op Fruit's ability users appeared in the Revolutionary Army. When did they get this fruit? Was Rocinante's death also caused by the Revolutionary Army? Sengoku felt a little confused. The sea has been very unstable recently. First, the treasure troves of the 3 kingdoms were stolen. The world government directly ordered Marine to conduct a strict investigation and had to send out all its personnel. Now the Revolutionary Army appears and directly kills 2 members of Vice Admiral. I heard that the red-haired Shanks is also very unstable. This person is close to Whitebeard's strength and will be another dangerous factor in the future. Sengoku scratched his head and fed the documents on the table to the goat beside him. Kong, on the other hand, prioritizes reading newspapers and drinking tea, as if everything has nothing to do with him. Marshal Kong, I feel that I may not be qualified for the position of Marshal Marine. Even before he took over the position of Marshal, so many things happened at sea. Sengoku had not slept for several days. If he really took over the position of Marshal, could he really handle these troubles? But Sora just said lightly, believe in yourself, Sengoku. Sengoku sighed and sent out the best medical team in the headquarters to treat Garp directly on the road. The journey from Loguetown to Marineford was not short, and he was afraid that Garp would not be able to hold on for such a long time. At the top of the red line, the puppet emerged from the ground. He looked at the magnificent and glorious city in front of him and the strict guards around it. He chuckled and drilled into the ground again. When he reappeared, he had already arrived inside Mariajoy. What celestial dragons! The most heavily defended. What a joke! Later, even Sabo was able to sneak in. The so-called Holy Land was just like that. Of course, the lives of these ordinary celestial dragons may not be in the hands of those who control the world. As long as Lord I Am is still there, the order of the world will still be there. On the road, there were celestial dragons wearing celestial dragon robes like space suits everywhere. He casually walked into a luxurious villa. Here, there are the most beautiful women as maids and strong pirates as mounts. A fat celestial dragon is playing with a beautiful woman on the crotch with a runny nose. Behind him, there were 2 beauties wearing only light veils, gently pushing his buttocks for fun. A life of lasciviousness fills the lives of celestial dragons. The doll quietly appeared, and the man who was in high spirits suddenly realized that the woman under his crotch had stopped screaming, and slapped her angrily, "Bitch! Keep screaming." However, when he looked closely, he found that the woman's head had been separated from her body. After being slapped by him, his head rolled to the side. Ah! Just as he was about to call out, a pair of warm palms suddenly covered his mouth. He looked around with horrified eyes and saw that all the beauties in the room were dead bodies. Behind him, there was a mysterious man in black, looking at him expressionlessly. "Don't scream, or you will die." Bai Yi's threatening words made the celestial dragons nod frequently. I ask, You answer. Bai Yi let go of his palm, and the fat celestial dragons nodded repeatedly. This man appeared silently and killed all the heat in his room. Where are the guards? Why didn't the guards say anything? Is he dead or did he not notice the assassin invasion? But no matter which one it is, this person is not someone he can afford to offend now. But he wants to remember this person's face, and after this person leaves, he will send Marine Admiral to chase this person. Where is Celestial Dragon's devil fruit hidden? Bai Yi asked. If you want to ask where in the world there are the most devil fruit, the answer must be in the Holy Land of Mariajoy. These celestial dragons will even feed slaves the fruit for entertainment purposes. Fruit is not precious in their eyes. But the strange thing is that these weak celestial dragons themselves don't eat these magical fruits, and they don't know why. The fat man was relieved when he heard that he wanted devil fruit. He doesn't look at those devil fruits. They have been taught since childhood that these fruits will tarnish the noble body and blood of celestial dragons, so celestial dragons disdain to eat those things. Anyway, he keeps it just for the slave's pleasure. This person can take it if he wants it. He quickly said, it's in the fruit bank. You want me to ask someone to bring it to you. Where is the fruit bank? Bai Yi continued to ask without any emotion. Celestial dragons said, in a palace next to the central temple, that is where supplies are stored, and the fruit warehouse is also there. After asking for a clear route, the puppet's hands were gently pressed, and the fat celestial dragons had his head removed. He didn't even know the man's name. However, the dead do not deserve to have names. Yidi Xingxian left the palace of celestial dragons and headed towards the treasure house where supplies were stored. In the celestial dragon's treasure house, the defense is not tight. Perhaps they felt that it was impossible to be stolen or plundered in the Holy Land of Mariajoy, where there was only one old celestial dragon responsible for the property level. Of course, this place is not completely undefended. From the ground to the walls, they are all made of sea stone, the hardest material in the world. Anyone with abilities who wants to cause trouble here will be beaten back to their original shape. But sea stone is not effective on dolls. No matter how magical sea stone is, it is essentially a type of earth and stone that can be passed through by earthly immortals. Sneak into the treasure house quietly. This is a huge palace. Each hall in it contains the most precious treasures in the world. Various famous calligraphy and paintings, antiques, pearls, gems, rare materials, and devil fruit. When the doll came to a small palace, there were wooden boxes facing each other, and in the boxes was devil fruit. After roughly counting, there are 36 in total. It seems that even the celestial dragons do not have unlimited devil fruit. But now, these magical fruits have all entered Bai Yi's mouth. After sweeping away all the fruits, he focused on all kinds of rare materials, which was more convenient than searching all over the world. There are 10 tons of meteorite iron that I once obtained from Mingyi's auction. There are also atom wood, titanium crystal ore and other rare ores, which are good materials for refining weapons. Bai Yi filled the sack in his waist. However, even so, the materials taken away were less than 1% of this treasure house. It seems that we have to continue to improve and strengthen the capsule space. This feeling of entering a treasure mountain and not being able to take it all is too uncomfortable. After the capsule was filled, Bai Yi still reluctantly browsed the materials in the treasure house. Outside the treasure house, a tall, elderly celestial dragon dressed in luxurious clothes and carrying a knife at his waist came here. Old Saint Green, the old man in charge of registration at the entrance of the treasure house, immediately stood up and saluted him. If you need anything, I'll get it for you. The old man was respectful. He seemed to be older than the ancient Saint Green, but his attitude was as respectful as if he were facing a god. No need. Who is in the treasure house? The old guard replied. Reporting to your lord, there is no one in the treasure house at the moment. Ancient Saint Green frowned. No, there is someone in the treasure house. Looking intently, a strange scene seemed to appear in front of him. He snorted angrily. Intruder. Montgomery Saint, you have failed in your duty. As soon as the words fell, his figure disappeared. The old guard at the door stood blankly for a moment. There is someone in the treasure house, how is it possible? Old Saint Green will not lie to me anymore. His ability to see and hear has reached the highest level. If he can see the future for a moment, someone must have used a special method to sneak into the treasure house. Cursing himself secretly for his incompetence, he just wanted to enter the treasure house with the ancient Saint Green. But then I thought about it, if I leave by myself, I am leaving my post without authorization. If someone sneaks in again, the consequences will be extremely serious. And with the help of the ancient Saint Green, no matter who the little thief is, there will be no escape. Hey, I'll pick it up later. Mariajoy is like my back garden anyway. The puppet muttered and planned to escape. Suddenly, his heart palpitated, and he quickly stepped back and waved his arms to block. Clang! There was a crisp sound, and the doll's arm made of sea stone was almost cut off. Bai Yi was shocked that someone could get close to him before he noticed it, and his attack power was so powerful. When he turned around and saw the face of the visitor clearly, he was surprised and said, "Is it you?" "Oh, you know me." Ancient Saint Green put away his sword and stood opposite Bai Yi. The man in black could actually sense his attack, and with his hasty defense, he was able to block his attack. Who is this person? He was very powerful, but what method did he use to sneak into the house? As the Supreme Commander of the Knights of God, I rarely show up in front of others, and even less aware of my existence. How could this person know me? Ancient Saint Green knew that if he hadn't happened to come to the treasure house to pick up something today, no one in Mariajoy would have noticed any intruders. Old Saint Green, the Supreme Commander of the Knights of God, actually did such a despicable thing as a sneak attack. The doll uses a collar to cover its face. Although the face is fake, it still needs to maintain a sense of mystery. You actually know me. When I capture you, you will explain everything. The ancient Saint Green was not the type to like nonsense. He unsheathed his long sword again, entangled conquerors and slashed it with one blow. Its power was stronger than Garp's fist bone impact. He is worthy of being a strong player who could compete with rocks back then. My goal is accomplished. I don't have time to play with you. Bai Yi smiled faintly and fled away. However, ancient Saint Green seemed to know that he could escape from the ground, and with another sword energy, he slashed towards the ground first. High-level knowledge. Crossing his arms to block the two attacks, he glanced at the deep slash marks on his arms and realized that he already understood the opponent's abilities. Facing such an opponent, unless you also have high-level knowledge and knowledge that can predict the future, or a knowledge and knowledge that conceal the ability to predict the future, there is no chance of winning against such a strong person. Let's capture him without any effort. Although I don't know why you were able to sneak into the ground, all your abilities are useless in front of me. Ancient Saint Green's eyes sparkled, and while he was trying to persuade him to surrender, he did not stop attacking for a moment. Clang! There were two battle marks on his arms again. Bai Yi quickly retreated. If he continued to fight like this, the doll would be broken. However, if you don't fight, you won't be able to escape. This is the only way left. When the doll enters the phantom body barrier state, although the invisibility is useless to the strong ones with top-level knowledge and color, it can also play a role in confusing them. Sharp nails protruded from the fingertips, and Bai Yi controlled the puppet to use its dragon claw hands to attack actively. Moreover, he only attacks but does not defend, and his moves are approaching the vital points of the ancient Saint Green. Limos has the bonus of Ghost Shadow, and his attacks are very fast. Even if ancient Saint Green could predict his attack, seeing it and reacting to it are two different things. The ancient Saint Green could only fight with muscle memory, and could not process the future scenes he saw with his sight color in a timely manner. Haha, how long can you persist with this frequency of attacks? Ancient Saint Green also used fast attacks to respond to fast attacks, but he was even more surprised at the strength of the opponent's body. So hard that it's not like humans. Are you from a rare race? Bai Yi didn't answer, and after another claw attack was blocked by ancient Saint Green, he took a decisive step back and quickly activated the earthly immortal to sneak into the ground. In just 1 minute, he made thousands of attacking moves. Ancient Sage Green needed to process more than 1,000 prophetic information in 1 minute, so his brain was a little down. Although he saw Bai Yi going to sneak underground, his brain couldn't react. Damn it, let him run away. Ancient Saint Green looked ugly, and he stamped on the ground. Even he could not easily destroy the hard seastone ground. What ability does this person have? Why can I drill into the seastone ground? He took out a phone bug from his arms and dialed a number. Beep 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 beep. I am Ancient Saint Green. Someone has invaded Mariajoy's treasure house. Immediately block Mariajoy and conduct a citywide search. After hanging up the phone, he did not pursue it, but checked what was missing from the treasure house. The antiques are all there. The gems and pearls are all there. The gold is all there. There is a shortage of meteorite and other mineral materials. Devil fruit is all gone. He was standing in a small palace, where devil fruit was stored. But now, this place is empty. Is he here to steal the devil fruit? Ancient Saint Green walked out of the treasure house, and the old guard at the door saluted again. Old Saint Green, have you caught the intruder? Ancient Saint Green shook his head. He escaped. Escaped. Saint Montgomery is a little confused. Who can escape under the hands of Lord Lin Gushung? Moreover, he didn't see anyone jumping out at all. Sir, I was derelict in my duty. Saint Montgomery immediately knelt down on one knee. Please punish me. Ancient Saint Green glanced at him and said calmly, it's not your fault that the enemy can escape underground. Get up. He stood silently at the door of the palace, thinking about the man in black who wrote about his fight in the treasure house. The opponent can escape and blockade. Can Mariajoy really catch him? The Holy Land was sealed, and all the guards began to conduct a citywide investigation. The celestial dragons who were killed by Bai Yi were also quickly found out. Once this happened, things became big. Stealing treasure is not a big deal, but killing celestial dragons is an evil act that the world's nobles cannot tolerate. Among the powers, the 5 elders gather here. Saint Vachuri was furious. He slapped his palm on the table and said angrily, the dignified celestial dragons were invaded and killed by Mariajoy. This thief committed a heinous crime. He is a criminal even more vicious than Roger. We must catch him and punish him severely in front of the whole world. Saint Moshe said in a deep voice, but, according to what Green Ancient Saint said, this man can escape, so how can he be captured? Saint Wechuli said, didn't the Ancient Saint Green fight against the other party? Let him describe this person's appearance and arrest him all over the world. Moreover, even if he can escape to the ground, he still cannot escape the perception of high-level witnesses, so Marine sends all admiral-level combat forces to encircle and suppress him. An order came from within the powers that be to Marineford. Kong was no longer as carefree as before, and put down the phone with a serious expression. Sengoku. Buddha Sengoku immediately came to him and performed a military salute. Take people to Mariajoy immediately. A villain has sneaked into the Holy Land, stolen treasures and killed the celestial dragons. Sengoku was shocked. Sneaking into the Holy Land. Killing celestial dragons. Who is so bold? Whitebeard, Charlotte Linlin, or Kaido, or the Revolutionary Army. But, you haven't received any news of any unusual movements from them recently. Is it the red-haired Shanks? Sengoku asked several questions in succession, but Kong shook his head. No, Ancient Sage Green fought with the opponent, but escaped. However, Ancient Sage Green saw that man's appearance, and has now begun to draw a wanted order for the evil thief. In addition, according to the Ancient Sage Green, this thief can escape by hiding on the ground, and can directly escape into Seastone. His body is extremely hard, so hard that it is not like a human being. When leading troops, he must use sight, hearing and color to perceive. Quote. Marshal Sora recounted the information provided by world government to Sengoku. The 5 elders require all marine generals to go to encircle and suppress them, but there are only 2 of us left in the headquarters. I can't leave, so I can only let you go for a visit. Admiral-level combat power is not just admiral. Currently, in the naval headquarters, those with admiral-level combat power include Marshal Kong, Admiral Buddha Sengoku, Vice Admiral Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji, Garp, and those who have retired to the second line and become instructors. Original Admiral Zephyr. However, Kizaru and Aokiji were sent by Sengoku to track down the thieves who stole the treasures of various kingdoms. Akainu went to encircle and suppress the Revolutionary Army, Garp was seriously injured, and Zephyr's officer training camp was not in Marineford. This resulted in naval headquarters having almost no one to dispatch in such an emergency. Sengoku savored Sora's words carefully. Able to escape. How can we find this? We don't even know which direction he went. Furthermore, since he can easily sneak into the Holy Land and steal treasures, the thief who stole the treasures of 3 kingdoms in succession is most likely him. Sengoku quickly connects recent events together. This person first stole the treasure troves of other kingdoms. Perhaps he wanted us to disperse our manpower so that he could take the opportunity to sneak into the Holy Land. Even the intelligence we received from the Revolutionary Army before may also be their hands and feet. Let us spread out more manpower. If you can do this and need a lot of money, could you be someone from the Revolutionary Army? Sengoku thinks his analysis makes sense. Damn dragon, can't I save you lousy some trouble? Sora said, let's talk about these things later. Let's lead the troops to support the Holy Land first. Sengoku took the order and left. In the Holy Land, Baiyi did not leave directly. The battle with the ancient Saint Green caused serious damage to his body. If it is not repaired, he may not be able to jump very far. But there is no equipment for refining weapons here, so it is not easy to repair them. But he thought of another way. That means making the doll eat devil fruit. In this way, I may also have the ability to repair myself. For example, Spandam's elephant sword even has a certain degree of self-awareness and can actively attack the enemy. However, the technology to make objects eat devil fruit is a secret not passed down by the world government. It is a new technology developed by Vegapunk. Fortunately, this is the Holy Land, and celestial dragons may have this technology. Appearing from a luxurious palace, the guards could not detect him due to his phantom body barrier. Walking leisurely through the halls and living rooms, he finally heard human voices. Disgusting thing. Get out of here with what's in your stomach. The man's disgusted curses could be heard, as well as the sound of a whip hitting an object. Entering here quietly through the crack in the door, Baiyi saw a strange-looking human being. This room is obviously a bedroom, but there is a cross in the bedroom. A woman with a big belly was tied to a cross and endured the ruthless whipping of men. Her skin has a blue halo and its surface looks like fish scales. These blue scales were very hard, and despite the man's vigorous whipping, her body was unscathed. Only when the whip is whipped on the protruding belly, the eyes will reveal Yuan-Chu in anger. Please, hit me, don't hit my stomach, that's your child too. The woman's pleading did not arouse the man's pity, but instead whipped him harder. You monster. That bastard is not my child. How could the great and noble celestial dragons have such blood? The whip in the man's hand kept beating until he was tired, and then he let go. You bitch, haven't you always wanted to leave? Okay, I'll let you leave. Get out of the Holy Land tomorrow. The man dropped the whip in his hand. Just as he was about to turn around, he suddenly saw the incredible look in the woman's eyes. He thought the woman didn't believe he would let her go, so he laughed and said, a bitch like you is not worthy of living in the Holy Land. If your scales weren't too hard, I would have beaten you to death. However, he suddenly noticed that the woman's eyes were looking behind him. When he turned around in confusion, he found a man in black standing behind him. Hello, Baiyi smiled, and before the celestial dragons shouted, he grabbed his throat with one hand and covered his mouth with the other. Idiot, I'll kill you if you dare to speak out. Celestial dragons shook his head in horror. He knew that an intruder had entered the Holy Land, and even the ancient Saint Green had not been able to capture him. I think the man in black in front of me is the intruder. Slowly releasing the hand covering celestial dragon's mouth, Baiyi stared closely at this person's movements. If he dared to scream, he could pull off his head in an instant. I ask, you answer, and you nod if you agree. The hand strangling celestial dragons has not yet been released, and celestial dragons can only nod in horror. Very good. Baiyi directly asked what he wanted, how to make an object eat devil fruit. I don't know. Seeing the fierce look in Baiyi's eyes, celestial dragons quickly explained. When we want to make objects eat devil fruit, we just ask and world government specialists will do it for us, so I don't understand this technology. Devil fruit's ability conversion conditions are one of Vegapunk's studies. It is indeed a secret technology. Although celestial dragons can learn it, it is not necessary and they do not need to put in the effort. The whole city is currently under martial law. If this celestial dragons were to ask the world government to send someone, they would expose themselves. As he thought about it, the strength in his hand unconsciously increased a bit. Celestial dragons was frightened and said repeatedly, don't kill me, I don't know a way. Baiyi picked him up and said, if you know the solution, why don't you tell me quickly? Yes, he said. This technology is recorded in the database of the Holy Land, and we can read it at will. Before Bai Yi could ask carefully, the person detailed the location of the database. Is it in the middle of the Holy Land? It's a bit troublesome. Now the whole city is searching for him. It would be dangerous if he steals information. However, there is no other way. Bai Yi directly broke the celestial dragon's neck and threw him to the ground. He looked up at the woman with a big belly who was tied to the cross. The woman is also looking at him. Who are you? The woman was very excited when she saw him killing the celestial dragons without mercy. Anyone who dares to do this must be the enemy of the world government. Jinny, Bai Yi asked. The woman was even more overjoyed. This man knew about her and might be the person sent by the organization to rescue her. Although he was about to die, the child in his belly could not die innocently with him. Are you sent by the Revolutionary Army? Revolutionary Army? Bai Yi thought for a moment and nodded. Yes, but I can't save you now. You stay here first. If I find a way, I may be able to save you. Jinny is suffering from the terminal illness, Jade Scale, and is already dying. Carrying her with her is a burden, but she can be used to let the Revolutionary Army do something for them. On Upside Down Mountain, the Revolutionary Army's ships had arrived at the top of the mountain. Bai Yi walked out of the room and said to Long, "My people infiltrated Mariajoy and found Jinny. Do you want to rescue her?" Long and others were shocked. How is Jinny now? Bai Yi said, "It's very bad. I am suffering from the terminal disease of jade scales, I am still pregnant, and I was whipped by celestial dragons." Ivankov immediately said, "Save. Dragon, we must rescue Jinny." However, when Long heard the news that Jinny was pregnant, he had already given up on her. If she is pregnant with a celestial dragon's child, if she rescues the child, should she kill her or not? Besides, Jinny is in Mariajoy, how much will it cost to rescue her? He was terminally ill, but even if he was rescued, he would still die. Wouldn't the Revolutionary Army's sacrifice be in vain? But this cannot be said to Ivankov. 0. On the one hand, it damages his image as a leader. On the other hand, Ivankov, Jinny, Yingxiang and others grew up together since childhood. They are very good friends. If he says not to save him, Ivankov, Dashang and others will be alienated from him. This Bai Yi deliberately said this in front of himself and Ivankov, it was definitely a conspiracy. How did your people infiltrate Mariajoy? Long did not say whether to save, but questioned the authenticity of Bai Yi's words. Bai Yi said, "I have my own way. I have brought the words. Whether you want to save or not is your own question. Why?" Long frowned. Jinny had joined the volunteer army since the days of the volunteer army. Later, the volunteer army was changed to the Revolutionary Army. Jinny was the first commander of the Eastern Army. If such an important comrade is not saved, what will other people in the Revolutionary Army think? Ivankov even said impatiently, "Dragon. We had no way before. Now that Bai Yi's people have sneaked into Mariajoy, it is the best time to rescue Jinny. We must seize this opportunity." With that said, he went to the house to take out the phone bug and told the news to Big Bear. "Ivankov, is this true?" Big Bear and Jinny used to be lovers, but Big Bear didn't dare to accept Jinny's confession, but in his heart, he was willing to do anything for Jinny. Even though she knew that Jinny was pregnant with the celestial dragon's child, she still raised her as her own. This girl is Jewelry Bonnie. Chapter 131. Ivankov and the bear's excitement forced the dragon to consider a strategy to rescue Jinny. "What do we need to do?" Bai Yi said. "The Holy Land is in chaos. My people will have no problem escaping by themselves, but if they take Jinny with them, it will be very troublesome. So I need you to create chaos everywhere and attract the attention of the celestial dragons. In this way, my people will have a chance." Long was silent for a long time. Creating chaos means dispatching the main force of the Revolutionary Army, otherwise it will not be enough to attract the attention of the powerful celestial dragons. However, this will cause a huge blow to the Revolutionary Army. Of course, if you don't care, it doesn't matter. I'm just telling you. If you need my people to rescue Jinny, you will also need to pay a labor fee. Ivankov immediately jumped. "What? We contribute our efforts and pays for it." Bai Yi shrugged. "You can also refuse. I won't get anything by rescuing Jinny. If you don't want to, I will let my people retreat." Ivankov was anxious. Promise him, we can't let Jinny continue to suffer. Long hesitated in his heart, but couldn't show it. How much do we need to pay? Bai Yi stretched out a finger, a devil fruit. He has no interest in money now, and all the treasures in the world belong to him, but he needs devil fruit, which can make his power grow rapidly. The revolutionary army is short of money. If they are asked to pay, they will be in trouble. But if they take out the fruits, they still have a few. Looking at Ivankov's eager eyes and the hope of the big bear in the phone bug, Long could only nod and agree. Okay, what else do we need to do? Bai Yi said. Marineford, Enies Lobby, Impel Down, if these places are attacked, the world government will definitely send support. If you can get Whitebeard, Kaido, Bigmom, Golden Lion and others to attack world government member countries, you can also attract the attention of the powerful celestial dragons. Long said calmly. Letting these pirates take action would cost too much. I will lead people to attack Enies Lobby. As long as you can get Jinny out of Mariajoy, Big Bear will be there to pick you up. After leaving Mariajoy, you don't have to worry about Jinny's safety anymore. Also, I need your people to free the slaves held captive by the celestial dragons. Back then, the Eastern army led by Jinny was destroyed by the celestial dragons. Jinny was not the only one who was arrested. Some high-level cadres were not killed in the battle, but were imprisoned in prison for the control of the celestial dragons. If these people are released, the revolutionary army's strength will be greatly increased. And other imprisoned people are also very likely to be developed into members of the revolutionary army. Long didn't want to pay such a high price just to save a dying Jinny. There had to be enough benefits. One more. Bai Yi nodded and stretched out another finger with a smile. Back then, the tigers sneaked into Mariajoy to free the slaves. This must not have been difficult. Of course, take this opportunity to raise the price. Long thought about it for a while and agreed to the price. Yes. Are you still going to disembark at Upside Down Mountain? Certainly. Bai Yi jumped off the boat. Do I still want to go to Enies Lobby with you to fight for my life? Start taking action. Use the phone bug to contact me. After getting off the boat, he landed on the Red 10 continent. This is a high mountain. If you follow the sea current, you can enter the first half of the Grand Line, Paradise. On the other side of the mountain is the end of the Grand Line. I've never seen what's at the end of the Grand Line. After disembarking from here, on the one hand, he did not want to take risks with the Revolutionary Army, and on the other hand, he could climb to the top of the western sky of Sky Island, which he suspected was the end of the Grand Line. So, he wants to come here to check. Walking to the back on foot, he turned around and saw that the Revolutionary Army's ship had entered the Paradise along the current. He used the Earth Immortal to sneak into the ground while focusing on the doll. Ignoring Jinny any further, he went out and dived directly underground, heading towards the central temple that the celestial dragons had mentioned. This is where the world government meets, and where the 5 elders discuss matters. Lord I Am, who is rumored to have ruled the world for 800 years, is also here. He relied on his ability to escape and become invisible, and lurked into the temple. In the temple, there are heavily armed soldiers walking inside the temple. Outside, large groups of soldiers are patrolling the streets, chasing absconding intruders. But they didn't expect that the intruder not only did not leave, but instead sneaked into the central temple. Emerging from the ground, he looked at the magnificent hall in front of him and murmured, "This is it." The hall was very large, and the corridors were winding and winding. He was worried that he would get lost, so instead of walking too deep, he hid himself at the gate and quietly moved forward according to the route described by the celestial dragons. On the road, from time to time, you will encounter patrolling troops, standing sideways against the wall, the phantom barrier erasing their figures, and the ghost walk minimizing their own presence. Moreover, the doll was a product of a divine machine. It had no heartbeat and no breathing. It stood there like a dead thing and did not arouse the alertness of these counties at all. Soldiers who can patrol the central temple of the Holy Land, placed in Marine, will have at least lieutenant colonel level combat power. Quietly came to the door of an ancient and gorgeous room. This is where the celestial dragons said the information was stored. Yangdi Xingxian entered the room. As soon as he emerged from the ground, he was chopped down with a long knife. He was caught off guard and it was too late to dodge. 3 beads on his neck emitted golden light, and a golden cover appeared on his body to block all long attacks. The head contains the most important core component of the divine machine. If it is damaged by the shock, the doll may not be able to be used. Fortunately, he refined the 3 orbs in advance, which increased the person's defense ability by 2.6 points. Turning around, he saw an old man with half black and half white hair. He is holding a Western-style knife-style weapon, with the blade pointed at the doll's throat. Are you the little thief who invaded the Holy Land? This person appears to be the database administrator mentioned by Celestial Dragons. However, according to that Celestial Dragons, this person is just a useless old man. Why is he so powerful? I don't know if I was deceived or if Celestial Dragons really didn't know. Bai Yi understands that it is not easy to obtain Vegapunk's fruit ability conversion technology. But it makes sense to think about it. After being able to rule the world for 800 years, how could the Celestial Dragons not have a few strong ones? Even if the Revolutionary Army plus the 4 emperors and naval headquarters unite, they may not be able to overthrow the world government. You dare to sneak into the world government database without running away after stealing the treasure. What are you going to do? The old man held one hand behind his back and was extremely confident in his own strength. Old Saint Green said that you can go underground and ignore the obstruction of Seastone. How did you do that? Is it the racial ability of a rare race? The old man asked several questions in a row. He was not in a hurry to arrest Bai Yi. He was guarding this database every day. His life was extremely boring. Such a fighting opportunity could be removed. Bai Yi didn't want to speak at first, but when he saw the old man's appearance, his heart moved and he said, I'm looking for research information on Vegapunk. Do you know where it is? Oh, the old man heard that his deep voice was not his original voice, and said doubtfully. Vegapunk can be considered a talent, but the things he has researched are not of much use. What are you doing with these things? As he spoke, he came to a bookshelf, pulled out a pile of information, and said to himself. Biological modification technology, island-wide air conditioning technology, ability conversion technology, artificial devil fruit technology, sea beast weapon 14 technology, holographic projection technology, unmanned cooking machine technology. What do you want? Artificial devil fruit technology. But it's just a failed study. The old man seemed to be a talker. He raised the pile of information in his hand and said to Bai Yi, what you want is here. Whether you can get it or not depends on your own ability. Bai Yi chuckled. This kind of lonely old man likes to play tricks on his opponents when he has strong strength. No, you don't need to look for it yourself, the old man has already taken it out. The figure flickered, and when the old man turned his back to him, the nails of the puppet's 5 fingers popped out and slashed towards the old man's throat like 10 sharp blades. Clang! The old man didn't look back and blocked his incoming attack with his blade. This person's level of knowledge and color is also not low. The speed is good, the strength is good, but that's it. The old man turned back calmly and slashed down with his long sword. The blade covered with armed color was as fast as wind and thunder. The puppet dodges, not intending to fight with its blade. The battle with the ancient Saint Green had already damaged the doll. Before repairing it, it was better to reduce the damage. The body is like a ghost, and the doll's attack movements are extremely tricky. Catch it with 5 fingers to attract the vitals of the immortal. But the old man also responded very calmly, with a long sword that appeared and disappeared, and he was also the top swordsman in the world. After fighting for a few minutes, Bai Yi also had a rough idea of the old man's strength. It is indeed very strong, but it is still a little inferior to the ancient Saint Green. His sight, hearing and color do not reach the level of predicting the future. But his weapon color is similar to that of the Green Ancient Saint. After fighting for so long, I haven't seen him use Ba Tang's moves. I guess he doesn't have conquerors. This is easy to handle. When the long knife slashed at his head again, he gave up all defenses and grabbed the old man's throat with his hands, and then grabbed his heart. On the neck, the brilliance of the 3 jewels lit up, ready to resist the blade above the head. The old man's eyes were slightly cold, and he did not dare to trade his life with Bai Yi. He cut his long knife down to intercept Bai Yi's arm, and his body was forced to take several steps back. As soon as he retreated, the pile of information behind him was exposed. Bai Yi immediately grabbed the information and stuffed it into Xixiang. At the same time, he rushed towards the bookshelf and stuffed all kinds of information into Shang Nangli. Stop it, little thief. The old man was furious, no longer as calm as before. His speed was a little faster again, and the sword light condensed in the long sword. These materials are valuable. If stolen by the enemy, the world government will suffer considerable losses. Old guy, your dad won't play with you anymore. Bai Yi directly escaped from the ground, even directly escaped 100 meters underground. Even if the old man cuts it down with his sword energy, it will only penetrate 10 meters into the ground. Swimming quickly underground, he left the scope of the central temple. After getting out, he looked around and randomly entered the mansion of a Kailong man again. The Celestial Dragon's mansion is large, but there are not many people living in it. After wiping out everyone in the house, he sat leisurely on a big soft bed and checked the information. First, take out the document that the old administrator pulled out. When he opened it, he cursed, "Despicable old guy." In the document, it was clearly written, "List of beauties from all over the world." I don't know which boring guy compiled it and still kept it in such an important database. Presumably, when the Celestial Dragons go to catch beauties, they will do so based on this list. After opening it, the first page is the famous minister of his wife Boa Hancock. Not only the name, but also photos, ages, and other detailed information. However, there is another note below. The Empress of Nine Snake Island has now joined the 7 warlords of the sea. It is not recommended to arrest her for the time being. The good list was in his heart, and he took out the other files he grabbed and looked at them one by one. Fortunately, I did a temporary sweep and took away many other documents. Most of these files are relatively important. For example, each country pays tribute to the Heavenly Gold Bill every year. Archives of major events recorded by world government. CP organization list. Also, Vegapunk research information. Now put the other information into the bag and study it later. Find out devil fruits conversion technology from the Vegapunk research information. After looking at it, it was not difficult. The most important thing is that you need the same instrument. I don't know where this instrument is stored. But since Celestial Dragons can be operated by world government specialists must be among Mariajoy. Quietly leave this manor and randomly sneak into a retainer of Celestial Dragons again. Still using the same escape route, when only one person is killed here, whatever he asks, that person will say whatever he wants. I dare not hide anything at all. After breaking his head, Bai Yi left this luxurious villa. Not long after he left, a Celestial Dragons came here, knocked on the door, and shouted, "Malin Saint, come and see my new toy." However, no one responded to him. "Malin Shang, if you don't watch the door, I will knock it down." He slapped Damo vigorously several times again, but still no one responded. At this moment, a pair of patrolling soldiers passed by and saw this Celestial Dragons. The captain said respectfully, "My lord, there are intruders sneaking into the Holy Land. Please go back to your home first. It is not safe outside." The captain was greeted with contemptuous curses from the Celestial Dragons. After filming for a while, and even kicking the door a few times, not even a servant came out to ask. This made him murmur a little. How could there be no one? We agreed to wait for me today. Forget it. Go find someone else. Too lazy to think about it, he hummed a tune and left, completely ignoring the guard captain's advice. In an inconspicuous corner of Mariajoy, Bai Yi appeared in a slightly quaint house. It seems that the Celestial Dragons don't pay much attention to the machine that can feed devil fruit to objects. There is still only one old caretaker here. But after receiving the lessons from the database administrator, Bai Yi did not dare to underestimate him at all. After circling the room and memorizing its location clearly, he sneaked in from the rear opposite the doorman. To avoid being perceived by seeing, hearing, and coloring. In the room, there was a shackled man cleaning the dust carefully. Even if this machine is not used once every few years, it still needs to be kept clean at all times. Standing quietly in the darkness in the corner, waiting for this slave to sweep away. He had just emerged from the darkness. In the center of the room is an instrument structured like a rescue capsule. This is the conversion device in the mouth of Celestial Dragons that allows objects to eat devil fruit. The instrument is not too big. Simply insert the object and the devil fruit into the 2 storage slots in the cabin and start the instrument to convert abilities. However, due to the limitation of the size of the instrument, the volume of objects that can be converted is also limited. However, it is still enough for the doll to lie down in. There is no operation here, this machine is of great research value. He directly lifted it up and put it into the devouring thunder. He went underground again and found a celestial dragon's home nearby. After killing all the celestial dragons inside, he took out the conversion device. Not in a hurry to lie down, he took out the 36 devil fruits. There was no need to compare them with the fruit illustrations. 12 of the wooden boxes recorded the abilities and credentials of the devil fruits inside. For the rest, perhaps even the celestial dragons don't know what they are capable of. 1 Logia, 1 Paramecia, even all zone. Logia is the iron fruit. Bai Yi was confused when he first saw it, thinking it was the same as the golden fruit. But if so, it should be Paramecia. Why Logia? When he read the information engraved on the wooden box, he was shocked to realize how powerful this fruit was. Iron itself is also an element. The user can directly transform into the iron element to avoid non-hockey attacks, or elementally disperse the hit part in advance. It is also possible to create iron elements out of thin air and use iron elements to condense objects of any shape. However, after losing control, the iron elements will disappear after a certain period of time. It can also control any form of iron within a certain range and drive it at will. In comparison, golden fruit and magnetic fruit are simply weak. Bai Yi fell in love with this fruit at first sight. With it, the doll can increase the iron content in the body and use iron to repair the injured body at any time. After compressing iron, the hardness of iron can also be continuously improved. Even glutinous rice can become harder than steel. The development of iron should be stronger than sticky cakes, right? But don't rush, keep looking at the fruits behind. Paramecia fragrant fruit can create and distribute any scent. For example, a scent that brings infatuation, a scent that can make people sleep, and even the smell itself is a kind of scent. If you use the stink to its ultimate level, you may be able to stink your enemies to death. It looks like he can do a lot of fun, but he doesn't like it. Among the remaining 10 fruits, there is 1 fantasy beast species, 2 ancient species, and 9 ordinary species. They are snake fruit phantom beast species Jormungandr form. Dragon fruit ancient species Velociraptor form. Bird fruit ancient species Terror bird form. Dog fruit hyena form. Bird fruit parrot form. Bird fruit peacock form. Bird fruit bald eagle form. Monkey fruit gorilla form. Bug fruit praying mantis form. Pig fruit wild boar form. Rat fruit hedgehog form. Cow fruit antelope form. The harvest was very rich, and in the end I chose Logia's iron fruit. I took out a flower-like fruit from the sack, and then the doll lay down in the rescue cabin-like instrument. Place the fruit in the groove at the other end, start the instrument like a flower, and the transformation ceremony begins. When the instrument started to rotate, Bai Yi suddenly realized a problem. The interior of the figure is doped with sea stone. Sea stone and devil fruit are 2 incompatible things. Will it invalidate the ability conversion? But the conversion ceremony has begun, and it's too late to regret it now. We can only wait and see what happens. The worst result is that the doll explodes. There was a clicking sound, and half an hour later, the hatch opened again. At this moment, the iron fruit in the groove has disappeared. The doll stood up and moved its body, but did not feel any discomfort. But he also discovered that the body parts recognized by the instrument did not include the sea stone in the body. Likewise, sea stone did not affect his ability to use it. He took out a large piece of meteorite from the sack and activated his ability. The meteorite turned into liquid molten iron. He manipulated the molten iron to blend into the slash marks on his body. At the same time, he compressed the iron structure in his body to the inside, and then used the molten iron to move inside. Perfusion fills the voids created after compression. He can perfectly manipulate the iron element. Even without a mold, he can still fill it perfectly without any leakage. After finishing all this, I moved my brand new arms, and the weight of my entire body doubled. This shows that the meteorite iron has been compressed 10 times by him, and its density is so high that even if ancient sage green comes to cut it again, it cannot be easily cut open. He took out another piece of meteorite and turned it into molten iron in front of him in the blink of an eye. The molten iron condensed again, and a blade without a handle appeared in front of him. Following the same pattern, this small piece of meteorite turned into 36 flying knives, suspended in front of him. With a thought, 36 flying knives flew out instantly, breaking a hole in the wall. These flying knives are also the product of 10 times compression. They are hard and sharp. It is somewhat similar to the ability of the main body, except that the puppet can only control iron products, while the main body's magical machine can transform and control any object. Sneaked underground again and came to the villa where Jinny was imprisoned. After diving underground, he made a cage out of meteorite iron and placed it underground. Then he came to the surface and cut off Jinny's rope. Dragon has been creating chaos for us everywhere, and the big bear is coming soon. I will take you to a safe place first. Jinny was pleasantly surprised. She knew the revolutionary army would not give up on her. Use the Earth Immortal to take Jinny underground and put Jinny in a cage for 10. You wait here for a while. I have to free the other imprisoned slaves. The underground air is limited, but fortunately the space created by Bai Yi is not small. When he left, he used ordinary steel to condense a small channel that led directly to the ground to ventilate Jinny. After the dragon's ship entered the paradise, he began to scare people through the phone. Raiding Enies Lobby does not require too many ordinary warriors, just a master. In order to cause large-scale commotion, military commanders from all over the world also began to plan attacks on marine bases in various places. North Blue's army commander Crow accompanied him. The North Army was now led by Deputy Army Commander Jilong. After receiving Long's order, he immediately led people to the 57th Marine Branch. Dashong has also used his teleportation ability to come to the Red Line, waiting for news from Bai Yi. In fact, it is not too difficult for Bai Yi to take Jinny away. Use the Earth Immortal to drag it into the ground where no one can detect it. As the former captain of the Eastern Army, Jinny was very strong and could still hold her breath for a short time. But Bai Yi didn't want the Revolutionary Army to be so free. Focusing on development every day, in the main plot, after Luffy defeated Wano Kuni, he didn't see any big moves from the Revolutionary Army. This is not okay. Bringing the Revolutionary Army's actions to the forefront is also more conducive to hiding it. In front of the main gate of the Holy Land Mariajoy, Admiral of Headquarters Buddha Sengoku has arrived here with a group of elite Marines. At the same time, the strong men of the CP organization have also been dispatched to find the intruders hiding in the Holy Land. The doll squatted quietly in a corner, looking up at the huge and gloomy building in front of it. This is the prison in Mariajoy where Nukong was held. Sneaking underground, waiting for the Revolutionary Army's movements, the spirit returns to its original form. The main body emerged from the underground of Red Line and came to the other side of Upside Down Mountain. The storm swept across and wet his clothes. He felt the burning of the Samadhi true fire in his body, and a trace of the impurities from the devil fruit were burned away. Looking down from the top of the mountain, clouds can be vaguely seen. Is it the cloud that reaches the top of the western sky and reaches Sky Island? Bai Yi was curious and jumped down from the top of the mountain. The strong wind whistled in his ears, and when he fell below, it was like falling on a soft marshmallow. It's a cloud. The clouds held up his body. Looking up, in the center of the clouds, there is a narrow ladder winding upward. Staircase made of clouds. The ladder is like water. As long as you stand on it, you can be carried up to the second floor. Climb up the ladder and reach a higher level of clouds. However, after arriving here, he searched all over the clouds, but no new clouds were formed. Isn't this the top of the western heaven? Bai Yi felt confused. Here, it looks like there are just 2 special layers of clouds. There is no road to Sky Island, via. The ladder can be climbed but not descended. If ordinary pirates come here, they will either starve to death on the clouds or risk jumping off. But Bai Yi has other ways. He stretched out his hand to draw in the air, and a mysterious talisman appeared in the air. Sword controlling talisman, Imperial Order. A huge spiritual sword made of chi appeared. Bai Yi stepped on it and raised the sword to the sky. So what if it's not the top of the western heaven? He can fly anyway. I'm also glad that I got the Tongtian Rui, and there is also this kind of sword controlling talisman in the talisman. Otherwise, he would have no choice but to step on the dragon and reach the sky. His superb ability to transform and control objects can make him a being like an ancient swordsman. However, Julong was born for fighting. The blade is not spacious and does not have the comfort of this kind of sword-handling talisman. Facing the howling sea, wind and heavy rain, Sky Island is located in the White Sea at an altitude of 10,000 meters. He is not sure whether his sword can fly so high. Using chi to attach his feet to the spirit sword, he began to accelerate continuously. Faster, faster, faster. Finally, a sonic boom sounded, and the flying speed of the spirit sword exceeded the speed of sound. But this is not his limit yet, keep accelerating. When the speed reaches 3 times the speed of sound, it feels that the resistance in front is too great to continue to break through. As the altitude climbs, the air becomes thinner and thinner. If other Qinghai people go up to the sky, they will feel very weak. But he has the immortal thief of Luku, who has already reached the realm of fetal breath. You can directly absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth through your pores without feeling any discomfort. Poof! The spirit sword passed through a thick layer of white clouds. Walking through the clouds is like swimming in the sea. But this is still not Sky Island, but the White Sea. The White Sea is located at an altitude of 7,000 meters, and you need to fly another 3,000 meters to reach the White Sea where Sky Island is located. But at this time, the shape of the spiritual sword under his feet gradually faded. This meant that the chi in the talisman had been exhausted and the spiritual sword was about to disappear. He used his fingers to draw in the air, and another spiritual sword appeared. He jumped on the second spiritual sword, and the original one quickly disappeared completely. Continuing to fly upward, the whole journey actually only lasted a few seconds, and he was once again covered in a thick layer of clouds. In the clouds, there are all kinds of Sky Island specialty seafood. I grabbed one casually and will roast it later to taste it. Whoosh! The spiritual sword pierced the sea of clouds. He laid the spiritual sword flat and looked around at the environment here. What he saw was a vast expanse of white, and the sea of clouds was no smaller than Qinghai. He needed to find land. That's the real Sky Island. But finding Sky Island is not difficult either. Luffy and others rode the upwelling current directly to Sky Island. This means that Sky Island is located directly above Gaia Island, which is in the middle of the first half of the Great Lane. He jumped off the other side of Upside Down Mountain. As long as he followed the direction of the Grand Line, he could see Sky Island. Continue to move forward with the sword. With 3 times the speed of sound, it won't be too long before we see Sky Island. The energy of the spirit sword was exhausted several times again, and he finally saw a land covered with green plants. That is a Sky Island. When Ugn came to Sky Island, the ground was still as soft as cotton candy. This does not seem to be the island where the Canis family lives. As far as the eye can see, there are no familiar buildings. Who are you? When Bai Yi was looking around Sky Island, a blonde girl with a pair of white wings on her back walked out of a hut. Looking at him curiously, not only did the man in front of me not have the wings unique to Sky Island people, he was also dressed very strangely and was holding a huge octopus in his hand. The octopus was caught by Bai Yi when he passed by the middle of the clouds and was ready to taste it. Hello, my name is Bai Yi. Bai Yi showed his bright smile and greeted this strange girl. The moment he smiled, the girl felt her heart pounding, and her delicate white face was instantly stained with a layer of red. Hello. The girl held her heart in her hands, too shy to raise her head, but quietly raised her eyelids to look at Bai Yi's handsome face with her peripheral vision. My name is Yuri. The girl introduced herself in a low voice, already imagining some embarrassing things in her mind. Excuse me, is this Sky Island? Bai Yi could tell by looking at her appearance that the girl was already addicted to his bone scraper. The girl will answer all his questions without fail. Good looks are so convenient. You are from Qinghai, right? When the girl heard this question, she didn't know Bai Yi's identity. I began to fantasize in my heart. If I marry him, should I go to Qinghai with him, or should he stay in Beibei? Bai Yi nodded. The shy girl finally became more courageous, stared at him lovingly, and explained. We are a Sky Island 10,000 meters above Qinghai, but my island is just a small island called Burka. Burka. Bai Yi was surprised. Isn't this Enel's hometown? At this moment Burka has not been destroyed. Does it mean that Enel hasn't got the thunder fruit yet? If so, he would have a chance to obtain the thunder fruit. Bai Yi, the girl looked at him secretly and boldly asked, brother, can I invite you to my home? Bai Yi, who was thinking about thunder fruit, heard the girl ask and said with a smile, okay. His approval made the girl excited. Great, brother Bai Yi, my mother is an excellent cook. She can make your cloud octopus delicious. The excited girl chattered and led the way. Bai Yi followed, thinking about how to find thunder fruit. Entering a warmly decorated small home, a beautiful woman who looked to be in her 30s was cleaning the room. When she heard the door ringing, she looked up and saw her daughter leading a very handsome young man in. The moment she saw this young man, her heart, which had been dusty for a long time, couldn't help but beat. Yuli, who is this? The beautiful woman softly asked her daughter for the name of the guest. Yuli said, Mom, this is brother Bai Yi, coming from Qinghai. Can I let him be a guest at our house? The beautiful woman lifted her hair from her ears and said elegantly, yes, of course you are welcome. As she said that, she put the broom aside and stretched out her white and slender hand. Mr. Bai Yi, my name is Delia, and I am Yuli's mother. Bai Yi also reached out and held the beautiful woman's soft little hand. Hello, Mrs. Delia, I'm sorry for bothering you. Where there? The moment Delia's hand was held, her body trembled slightly, but she soon returned to normal. When she saw the cloud octopus in Bai Yi's hand, she took the initiative and said, did Mr. Yi catch this? This kind of large cloud sea beasts are difficult to capture. Bai Yi handed over the cloud octopus in his hand. I heard from Yuli that you are an excellent chef. Could you please cook this octopus? Delia said. What an honor. After taking the octopus, Delia said to Yuli. Yuli, Mr. Bai Yi comes to Sky Island for the first time. You take him around and I'll cook the fish. Okay, Mom. Yuli happily accepted this task. She doesn't want to leave Bai Yi's side for a moment now. Brother Bai Yi, let me take you around. Although our Burka is not as prosperous as Angel Island, it is still a very beautiful island. Bai Yi smiled and said, then I'll trouble you. Following Yuli out of the hut, the two of them strolled around. On the way, I also listened to Yuli telling her story. She has never seen her father, and has never heard her mother mention it. She has lived with her mother on a remote beach since she was a child. But Delia's cooking skills are very good, and she works in one of the largest hotels in Burka, so their life is not bad. Today happens to be my mother's day off, otherwise brother Bai Yi wouldn't be able to enjoy my mother's cooking. While Bai Yi was wandering around Sky Island, he kept an eye out for devil fruit on the roadside. Yuli, what a coincidence, you are also out for a walk. Suddenly, a young man from Sky Island walked towards him, accompanied by 5 strong men who looked like bodyguards. He looked at Yuli with fiery eyes. When he saw Bai Yi next to Yuli, and when Yuli's eyes never left Bai Yi, he became surprisingly angry. Who are you? Get away from Yuli. Bai Yi is speechless. Why do you still encounter such a bloody plot? Before he could speak, Yuli spoke first. She angrily scolded the young man. Lucas, what does it have to do with you that brother Bai Yi and I are walking? Please get out of the way. You are blocking brother Bai Yi's way. Lucas's eyes almost burst into flames. At the same time as he was heartbroken, he felt that the top of his head was turning green. Snort. Lucas narrowed his eyes slightly. You guys from Qinghai, ask for my name, Lucas. Dare to touch my Yuri. I want you to die. With that said, he took out a dagger from his waist and stabbed Bai Yi. At the same time, one's guards also drew their swords together, and shin Bai Yi. With a sigh, a black light flashed, and Lucas's head rolled to the ground. Why do some people always want to seek death? Then, black light surrounded them, and the 5 guards also had their heads missing. Ah, but Yuli couldn't help but scream when she saw Lucas with his head missing. Brother Bai Yi, is he dead? After screaming for a while, she trembled and asked such a stupid question. If not, his head fell off, so of course he was dead. Bai Yi stepped over him indifferently. Keep walking, why are you so stunned? Yuli was horrified, but when she saw Bai Yi's retreating figure, she still carefully walked around Lucas's body, ran to Bai Yi, and grabbed his sleeves, her voice filled with fear. Brother Bai Yi, Lucas is the son of the owner of Burka Island. You should leave quickly. If the owner of Burka Island finds out, he will kill you. Bai Yi nodded indifferently, but took another look at the little girl. Seeing herself killing people, the first thing she thought of was to let herself escape. The son of the island owner. It is indeed such a bloody plot. But with the strength of Sky Island, he is really a student from a small island. Even Enel in his heyday didn't take him seriously. At worst, let Burka move to another island. It's okay, he's just a scumbag. Bai Yi signaled her not to worry, thought for a moment, and then said, do you want to summon the island? Yuli's mind was a little confused. Why did she suddenly talk about this? What does this have to do with whether you want to be the island owner? Where can a commoner like me, the Burka Island owners, pass down their family traditions from generation to generation? If you want, I will let you be the owner of the island. Originally, Bai Yi just said this casually, but after thinking about it carefully, he found that this plan is very feasible. How long will it take to find Thunderfruit by myself? If you let Yuli be the island owner and mobilize more people to search, the speed will be much faster. It's natural to coerce the current island owner, but because of Lucas's incident, he doesn't have a good impression of the current island owner, so it is better to support an obedient newcomer. He stretched out his hand and Lucas's head came to his hand. After a person dies, the body becomes an object and can be transformed into objects and controlled objects. Dragging Lucas's head like a basketball, he strode forward. Where is the island owner's mansion? Yuli, who was still in a daze, didn't hear clearly at all and let out a cute ah. Take me to the island owner's mansion and I will make you the island owner. Yuli looked up and saw Bai Yi's head bouncing in his hand, and was extremely frightened. Brother Bai Yi, aren't you going to run away? It's just the island owner, I can destroy it with just a flip of my hand. He glanced at Yuli. Why is this place so popular? No, the island owner, the Darnell family, are domineering, and everyone hates them. This is right. How can a hereditary island owner be benevolent and care for the people? Making money and being violent is the norm for men and women. 753, that's it. Bai Yi said. I will help you get rid of this scourge today. But Yuri was still hesitant. Having been oppressed by the island owner for hundreds of years, their fear of the island owner has been deeply ingrained in their bones. Bai Yi said nothing more, and waved his hand with a gesture of great compassion. A big handprint appeared and broke the trees in the woods next to him. And a 100-meter-long passage was photographed. The palm power is like Kamui. Where has Yuri seen such a scene? In her eyes, Bai Yi is like a god. Brother Bai Yi, you are sent by God to punish the overbearing Darnell family. The girl's eyes turned into the shape of little stars. She looked at Bai Yi with not only love but also admiration. With no worries in her heart, she took Bai Yi to the island owner's mansion. On the road, residents were shocked when they saw Lucas's head being dragged by Bai Yi. It's not good. The young island master was killed by Qinghai people. Hurry, go and report to the island owner. Someone immediately ran to the island owner's mansion to report. However, more people returned to their homes in fear and ignored the matter. If this Qinghai man could kill the island owner, it would be considered as a relief for them. If people from Qinghai were killed, they would not be implicated even if they hid. In the island owner's mansion, a man with a huge head slapped the case and got up. What? My son was killed. Bradley was furious. You thief from Qinghai, I will cut you into pieces. Order troops. Order troops. The Burka guards assembled at Bradley's command. They are fully armed, wearing hard armor, holding weapons, and equipped with platoon shells. The door to the island owner's mansion suddenly opened. Bradley put it on himself and led the guards to kill the thief. But as soon as he walked out of the mansion gate, he saw Bai Yi walking towards him holding a head. That head is none other than his own son. Bradley clenched his teeth with hatred, and then saw Yuli following Bai Yi, and said, Little bitch, are you and this thief together? Damn it, Lousy should have killed you and your bitch mother together. With an order, more than 100 guards surrounded Bai Yi. The sharp weapon was pointed at Bai Yi, waiting for Bradley's next order. The ferocious face of the island owner frightened Yuli. The girl hid behind Bai Yi in fear, not daring to look at Bradley. Snort. When Bradley saw his guards in place, he thought he had a chance to win. He walked forward and stared at Bai Yi's face. I will use all the torture to make you unable to live or die. 1. Oh, is it so? Baiyi threw the head in his hand into Bradley's face. The island owner of Burka, it's time for a replacement. The tone was so casual, and as he stepped forward, Bradley's body and head separated. In front of each guard's neck, there is a small blade. Want to live or die? Baiyi's emotionless voice sounded like a devil's whisper to the guard's ears. Sir, we want to live. Bradley is dead, and you will be our island owner from now on. The guards are very aware of current affairs, and they all get paid to live their lives. Who is willing to die for others? With a roar, all the weapons were thrown to the ground. Under the leadership of a guard leader, they all knelt on the ground to express their surrender. Baiyi glanced at them, said nothing, and walked into the mansion. Yuli quickly followed behind. These guards were kneeling on the ground and did not dare to raise their heads. They did not dare to get up without Baiyi's order, and they just kept kneeling. In the distance, people watching from afar saw the death of the island owner, and the news soon spread in Burka. More and more people gathered in front of the island owner's mansion. They were also amazed when they saw that the guards had been kneeling and did not dare to get up. I didn't expect that the arrogant Bradley would die like this. I don't know if the gentleman from Qinghai will be better. Everyone was talking about it, and Baiyi had already arrived deep in the mansion. This is where the Inal family lives. However, Sky Island's population is declining, and the island owner's family is not too large. Who are you? An old man appeared and turned into a corpse after just asking a question. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. Servants came out in 2s and 3s with weapons, and anyone who dared to take action against Baiyi was turned into a headless corpse. Finally, the blood frightened them. A middle-aged woman led a little boy and a little girl to kneel in the corner. Sir, don't kill me. Who are you? The woman hesitated and said, I am Bradley's sister. Oh, then you can die. The flying knife flashed, and the woman was so frightened that she screamed. She suddenly saw Yuli behind Baiyi and shouted, I know who Yuli's father is. Don't kill me. Yuli, who was watching in fear, was shocked and quickly grabbed Baiyi's arm. Brother Baiyi, I want to know information about my father. The flying knife stopped in front of the woman's snow-white neck. Tell me, you have 1 minute. The woman quickly said, Yuli's father is my father. Yuli, I am your sister. Baiyi was stunned, and so was Yuli. How could it be possible? It's impossible. Yuli's eyes were blank and she didn't want to believe the result. The woman said, I saw it when my father's guards dragged Delia into the room and released her 3 months later. At that time, Delia was already pregnant. Yuli staggered 2 steps and fell to the ground, unable to believe all this. Baiyi asked with great interest, How old was your dad? The woman said, 67. Baiyi asked again, Where is Delia? Tisk tisk, save your life. With a flash of the sword, the woman and the 2 children were all beheaded. After all, although this woman is good-looking, no matter how beautiful she is, can she compare to Hancock? Yuli was still dazed on the ground, and Baiyi's voice came to her ears. Yuli, from now on, you are Burka's. Come out, everyone, and meet your new master. After Baiyi finished speaking, trembling maids appeared from all corners. They were only beating workers and did not take action against Baiyi, so there was no need to kill him. Island owner. The maids knelt in front of Baiyi consciously. If the Darnell family used their power for generations to make them obey, Baiyi used his absolute strength to make them dare not resist. Not me. He pointed at the confused Yuli on the ground. She will be your new island owner from now on. Yes, yes, Lord Island Master. The maids bowed obediently to Yuri. Get up, you will be the new island owner of Burka from now on. Pulling the confused Yuli up, the girl still doesn't know what happened. This is it. She pointed at her pretty cheeks in disbelief. Baiyi spread his hands. I said you are. Whoever disagrees will be killed. Oh. Yuri felt like she was in a dream. Inexplicably, I met a Qinghai man, and then this Qinghai man killed the 14 island owners and their families and became the island owner himself. Clean the mansion. Baiyi gave the order, and these maids immediately began to clean up the corpses and bloodline on the ground. Go and fetch your mother, and you can live in this luxurious villa from now on. After walking out of the mansion gate, the guards were still kneeling. However, Many Sky Island residents have gathered around. Get up, Bai Yi said. From now on, Yuli will be your new island owner. The guards hurriedly saluted Yuli, and those residents who saw Bai Yi easily obliterating the Darnell clan also knelt down and saluted Bai Yi and Yuli. In the hut on the beach of Burka, when Yuli came to pick up her mother Delia with a team of guards, Delia opened her beautiful eyes in disbelief. Island owner, Yuli, how did you become the island owner? She was still busy with cooking, but she didn't expect that such a big thing would happen after just a moment of absence. After her daughter explained repeatedly and the guards nodded repeatedly, she was half convinced. Mom, the woman who claims to be the sister of the island owner said that my father is the old island owner, is that true? Yuli asked the guards to go out and asked her mother quietly. Delia was silent. She didn't want to recall that humiliating past. Are all the Darnells dead? She didn't answer, she just asked this question. Yuli said, Brother Bai Yi killed them all, even a few 3- and 4-year-old children. Delia hummed softly, good kill. Seeing her mother's attitude, Yuli roughly understood the truth of the matter. Without asking any more questions, she hugged her mother gently from behind and said, Mom, we will have a good life in the future. Brother Bai Yi is here. Bai Yi's handsome appearance appeared in Delia's mind. He still has such great strength. Is he really a god? Originally, Yuli and Bai Yi wanted to take Delia to the island owner's mansion, but Delia said that the cloud octopus would be ready soon and they would not leave until after the meal, and she still had some things to pack. Bai Yi stayed to have dinner with them and told the captain of the guard to ask them to look for the strange-looking fruit. Every time you find one, you will be rewarded with 100 million X coins. The currency used by Sky Island is Exter, and the exchange ratio with Pele is 10,000 to 1. 100 million X coins is 10,000 Baileys. For the people of Sky Island, it is a considerable bounty. All that needs to be done is to look for weird fruits. This order will be issued by the guards to the entire island, and the search will be faster if the residents of the entire island help. In a private house in Burka, a young man with a haircut saw a notice posted on the roadside. Strange fruit reward 100 million. He took out a golden fruit from the bedroom. Is this thing worth 100 million? I don't know if this is the kind of fruit Nijima is looking for. However, Qinghai people come to Sky Island to look for this fruit, which shows that this fruit is very precious, and its real price is definitely more than 100 million. What will happen if I eat it? The young man held the golden fruit and meditated. In Yuli's home, Bai Yi was given the throne by the mother and daughter. They no longer dared to treat him as an ordinary Qinghai person. This is God. Bai Yi naturally sat on the main seat. Delia personally tore off the tentacles of a cloud octopus for him and placed a plate of carefully prepared sauce for him. Dipping in the sauce, Bai Yi enjoyed the delicious food. I don't know if it's the delicious taste created by the Sea of Clouds, or Delia's cooking techniques that are so obvious. This octopus food is extremely delicious. The mother and daughter looked at him while he was eating, thinking he looked so handsome. Because of the immortal thief Luku, he had a large appetite. He ate 2/3 of a huge octopus by himself. Delia and Yuli just took a few bites. After the meal, Bai Yi invited them to the island owner's mansion again. Delia said, I'll pack up my belongings, you go ahead. Several guards were left behind to help Delia get supplies. Bai Yi and Yuli returned to the island owner's mansion first. At this moment, the mansion, which was originally full of corpses and bloodline, had been cleaned by the maids. After seeing Bai Yi's decisive approach, they worked more seriously than before. When I came to the original island owner's room, all the mattresses and other items here had been replaced. I'll take a break and familiarize yourself with the identity of the island owner. Sitting on the bed, Bai Yi smiled and asked Yuli to go about her business. He took out the electric worm from the sack, and reported to Hancock that he had returned to Nine Snakes, that he was safe, and said that he would go back soon. After hanging up the phone, I received another call from Long. Your Excellency Bai Yi, Big Bear has arrived at the foot of Mariajoy Mountain and is ready to pick you up at any time. Our people will be in place tomorrow to attack marine branches all over the world. I've also arrived near Enies Lobby. When can we move there? Bai Yi said, Jinny has been placed in a safe place by my people, and she is lurking near the prison. But first heard that Marine Admiral Sengoku led an elite navy to support Mariajoy. The CP department and marine strongmen scattered around are also rushing to Mariajoy. You need to launch an attack as soon as possible to hold back these strong men. Long agreed. Okay, you will also release the slaves imprisoned in the prison. I hung up the phone and lay on my back on the bed. It was already dark. There was really no leisure time on this day. Just when he was about to take a nap, the door opened quietly. When she opened her eyes, she saw Yuli, who had a few drops of water on her hair, had changed into a beautiful pair of pajamas and was standing at the door looking pretty. Brother Bai Yi. The girl's pretty face turned red and she wanted to say something. Bai Yi thought for a while and waved to her, come on. Later. Early the next morning, Bai Yi woke up to the girl's murmur. Stroking the smooth skin in the arms, a pair of small wings has a special interest. Pulling his arms out from under the girl, this movement woke her up. But how could a young girl who had just menstruated withstand his physical assault? Her waist was sore, her legs were weak, and her lower body was still a bit swollen and painful. After a few words, he covered his head with the quilt again. Bai Yi put on her single clothes and got out of bed. The maid in charge of catering had already prepared breakfast. While eating breakfast, a guard came to report that someone had found a strange fruit. His spirits immediately rose. Although I got a lot of devil fruit from Mariajoy, the more the merrier. Besides, thunder fruit is the strongest one. Thunder is sound, and its points are light. It has the dual characteristics of light and heat, as well as the unique paralysis of thunder and lightning itself. Using electrotherapy on yourself can also have a certain degree of healing. The ability is very comprehensive. If Luffy hadn't cheated, how could he have withstood the high-voltage lightning bombardment? Let the guard lead the resident in, and he looked expectantly at the fruit in this person's hand. Result: just a pear that looks like a gourd. There is no curl pattern unique to devil fruit. He waved his hand in disappointment, saying this was not what he needed, and asked the man to leave. Then, people kept bringing all kinds of weird-shaped fruits, but none of them were the devil fruit they needed. Mr. Bai Yi, did you have a good rest yesterday? Delia walked out from behind carrying a bowl of black tea. She looked even more charming when she put on expensive and gorgeous clothes. With her slender hands, she brought the black tea to Bai Yi's lips. The woman smiled and hoped that he would drink it. Open your mouth and drink it, it tastes really good. After drinking the tea, the beautiful young woman pinched his shoulders from behind. However, the closer she was to him, the stronger the effect of being charmed by the bone scraper was. Delia couldn't help but gasp as she squeezed it. My legs were clamped together, and I could vaguely feel the moisture somewhere. A pair of jade arms wrapped around Bai Yi's neck, her red lips opened slightly, and she exhaled like a orchid. Mr. Bai Yi, Yuli is still young, so I shouldn't be able to let you have all the fun. Ideographic period. There is a faint fragrance and a soft touch on the back. With nothing to do, Bai Yi turned around, picked up the young woman by the waist, returned to her bedroom, and closed the door. In the capital of Seven Waters, a large ship was moored here, and a man wearing a windbreaker and a hood stood at the bow of the ship. Long, aren't we going to Enies Lobby? Why are we stopping here? Long said. Just a few of us can go to Enies Lobby and let our soldiers disembark here. While he was talking, the phone in his arms rang. When he picked it up, it was Big Bear. Dragon, I have been lurking in the red line all night. When can Jinny be locked up? Long replied. Don't be anxious yet. Our people are not in place yet. When the riot begins, Bai Yi's people will release the slaves. After you rescue Jinny, go and pick up our imprisoned soldiers. After putting down the revolutionary soldiers on the ship, Ivankov also took out the phone bug to notify Lightning. Let them come to meet the Revolutionary Army soldiers in the Seven Rivers capital. The Shemale Kingdom is on the Grand Line, so Ivankov naturally serves as the army commander on the Grand Line. After putting down the Revolutionary Army soldiers, Long took a deep breath and looked into the distance. Once they attack Enies Lobby, the pursuit of the Revolutionary Army will increase again. But he had to do it. The telephones rang one after another, reporting the readiness of the 4 Marine captains and deputy captains. Attack. With an order, Marine branches all over the world were attacked one after another. In Enies Lobby, it was stormy and dark clouds covered the sky. Countless crows swooped down from the sky and exploded when they hit the ground. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The Enies Lobby alarm bell kept ringing, and the giant general guarding the door just waved his weapon and was knocked down by Ivankov in the blink of an eye. Marineford, above the sky, the Sun Island is suspended. One has a rudder on his head, and his golden hair is spread out, like a mighty golden lion. Shiki laughed loudly. The Revolutionary Army really started to attack Enies Lobby. Ha ha, I heard that all Marine personnel were dispatched to Mariajoy to capture an intruder. Now Marineford is an empty shell. I will go and get them all later. Destroy. Marine. Just a joke. If Garp and Sengoku hadn't joined forces, how could he have been captured? Under the sea, a large ship is moving forward in the darkness. A tall man was sitting in a big boat drinking. A group of big pirates gathered around him. Dad, you can just leave this little thing to us, why do you need to do it yourself? Marco poured a bowl of wine for Whitebeard. He really couldn't understand his father's behavior. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Whitebeard drank a large bowl of wine and laughed and said, I should be the one to say this. That guy was kind to me in the past. According to the information from the Revolutionary Army, he was imprisoned in the undersea prison. He has nothing to do with you. I can do this kind of dangerous thing by myself. Marco smiled and said, Dad's business is our son's business. If we can't do it for Dad, what's the use of us sons? But, Dad, is the person who provided the information really trustworthy? At this time, a fat man with gaping teeth in the 2nd Division said, Dad has sent people near Enies Lobby. As long as the Revolutionary Army really attacks Enies Lobby, it means the intelligence is credible. Teach. Saki, wearing a chef's uniform, handed over a plate. Come and try the sakura peach pie I made. Compared with the Revolutionary Army and the others who were worried, Whitebeard and others were obviously much happier. Dad, I heard that Impel Down imprisoned many great pirates of your era. Do we want Dakion Jiao to rescue them then? Whitebeard fell into memories. Impel Down, there is indeed a man who can be equal to him. Naval Headquarters. Marshal Kong received calls from everywhere at almost the same time. Marine branches all over the world were attacked one after another. The attackers were powerful and Marine was no match. However, now Marine has no manpower available. He slapped the table angrily. After thinking for a moment, he picked up the phone. Sakazuki, give Garp to the Marine hospital ship that will pick you up, and you can go to East Blue and successfully suppress the Revolutionary Army's rebellion. Porisalino, there is no need to go to Mariajoy, you can take your troops to the 57th branch of North Blue. Kuzan, are you sleeping again? Wake up, return immediately and suppress the South Blue rebellion. Then, he called Buddha Sengoku and asked him to immediately end his mission in Mariajoy and go to West Blue to support the Marine branch. Just as angry as Kong or the 5 elders. Between powers, they were analyzing the identity of the intruder when they suddenly received requests for help from Enies Lobby and Impel Down. The leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon, personally led an attack on Enies Lobby, and the Whitebeard pirates invaded Impel Down. Sarden was shocked and angry. First, the Holy Land was invaded, and then Marshal Marine said that the Seahai branch was attacked and removed several generals who supported the Holy Land. Now even Enies Lobby and Impel Down are being attacked by thieves. The Revolutionary Army is so brave. I suggest you capture Garp and use it to threaten the dragon. But Mo Sheng retorted, I portray Garp as a Marine hero. Once arrested, Marine's prestige will be damaged and the dignity of the government will be affected. Besides, Garp's heart was almost ripped out while chasing the dragon, so my fault should not be imposed on him. Who knows if he is acting? Moreover, I don't believe that he has no idea what his son has done. Nasho Langsheng and Sarden stood on the same position. While several people were arguing, the phone suddenly rang again. When I picked up, it was Kong again. What? Marineford was attacked. Golden Lion Shiki. I will arrange support immediately. Hanging up the phone angrily, Satan said, the Golden Lion Shiki attacked Marineford, but the Marine generals were sent out to suppress the rebellion. Sora asked the government for support. What about the Holy Land? Saint Wechuli was a little worried. The Holy Land is more important. If the mobs in the Holy Land are not removed, Lord I Am will punish us. Saint Peter said calmly, let the Knights of God take over and send Cypher Pole agents to support Marineford. The world was in chaos, and after having an intense workout with the beautiful woman on Sky Island Burka, Bai Yi was resting with her arms around her. Suddenly, he felt something strange in the phone bug in his capsule. He quietly left the room and took out the phone bug. The beeping sound came out immediately. Moxie, Moxie, I know, I'll let my people take action right now. Put away the phone bug, quietly return to the bedroom, and put your spirit on the puppet in the holy place. The puppet hid deep underground and took out the phone bug from its sack. He did not trust the dragon, but asked Solomon's intelligence organization. Sure enough, chaos broke out all over the world. Tisk, tisk, Long is really capable, he even invited she and Whitebeard. Let's be chaotic, the more chaotic the better. Why are everyone hiding in their own turf? The right way is to go out and cause trouble. He did not take action immediately, but waited for another hour before sneaking from the underground into the prison where slaves were held. Emerging from the ground, 100 tiny blades flew in the air, killing all the guards. In the prisons on both sides, the dull-eyed slaves immediately became excited when they saw someone suddenly appear and kill the guards. They shouted, "Are you here to save us? Help me, I'm going crazy from the celestial dragons." Hero, you must be a hero. Directly manipulate steel to twist the iron walls of the prison to form large holes. These twisted steel prison doors turned into molten iron, and he condensed them into more. Wherever it passed, all the watchers died. Hero, what's your name? I will definitely repay you. Some of the slaves who were escaping wanted to know who the person who rescued them was, but Bai Yi ignored them and used molten iron to form an iron mask to cover his face. His doll has two faces, one is his own, and the other is displayed as Yang Yi. But neither of these faces could be exposed, so he made himself an iron mask. As he moved forward, the iron doors of those prisons melted. The slaves struggled to escape. Suddenly, he saw a group of more than a dozen people escaping together. Although these people were very thin after being tortured by the Tianlong people, they acted very methodically and seemed to have been soldiers. There is a high probability that he is a former soldier of the Eastern Army. So, he said loudly, "Are those soldiers of the Revolutionary Army?" The dozen or so people were running away when they suddenly heard him say this and stopped in confusion. "Who is your excellency?" Bai Yi said, "I am entrusted by the leader Long to rescue you. There is a big bear outside to help you. You should go together and don't run around." "Thank you so much. Are you also a member of the Revolutionary Army?" These people were overjoyed. They didn't expect that after being imprisoned for so long, their leader still hadn't forgotten them. "I want to rescue other people, you jump." Bai Yi deliberately said it loudly so that everyone could hear it. In this way, the crime of invading the Holy Land was completely placed on the Revolutionary Army. The prison is very large, and many people have been tortured to the point of being reduced to human form. Even if the door is open to them, they do not have the strength to escape. Although the Holy Land experienced a tiger prison attack, Tiger did not dare to stay for too long. He just released the outermost slaves and left in a hurry. Therefore, there are still many slaves here. Bai Yi moves forward. He does not have the pressure of Tiger. He can let go as much as he can. These people will become the force that shakes the dominance of celestial dragons. The guards of the prison were not strong. After he killed them all instantly, he was not noticed by the higher-ups for a while. At this moment, Sengoku had already left in a hurry with Marine. Green City was gathering his Knights of God. This moment of vacuum became the slaves' hope of escape. After he freed all the slaves, he did not leave through the gate, but escaped directly underground to where Jinny was. "Take a deep breath, we will be underground for a long time." Jinny took a deep breath obediently, and Bai Yi directly used the earthly immortal to drag her underground and speed down the mountain. In the Holy Land, someone finally discovered that the slave had escaped from prison, and a large group of guards went to arrest him. Below the red line, a huge figure sits on a stone, looking up from time to time. Thinking of your lover in your heart. Suddenly, something came out of the earth and rocks behind him, and the big bear immediately got up and was on guard. Bai Yi emerged from the ground with Jinny, who was covered in blue scales. Holding her breath for such a long time had caused Jinny to pass out. Big Bear. When Bai Yi came out, he saw the big bear guarding the front. Jinny has been rescued, and all the slaves have been released. I don't care about what happens after that. Handing Jinny to the big bear, The big bear looked at Jinny's big belly and felt distressed, but the blue scales on her body made him dare not recognize her. Fortunately, Jinny's familiar and beautiful face remained unchanged. Holding Jinny carefully, Yin Chong said, "Thank you." Bai Yi waved his hand and said casually, "The disease she suffers from is called sapphire scale. It is a terminal disease that will accelerate its deterioration in the sun. Cherish your last time." Big Bear felt sad when he saw Jinny's current appearance. The other slaves have also been released, so I won't care about the tasks. After Bai Yi said that, he quickly left the place. The Knights of God in the Holy Land are dispatched. This combination is no weaker than naval headquarters. The Big Bear said gently to Jinny, "I take you home." Using the ability of the meatball fruit to teleport, he took Jinny back to the kingdom of Sorby, where they once lived happily. "Jinny, wait for me here first. I will go pick up my comrades from the Revolutionary Army and take you to see a doctor when I get back." Quote. When the Big Bear turned to leave, Jinny's cry of pain came from behind. He quickly turned around and saw Jinny sweating profusely. She put her hands on her belly and looked painful. I'm going to give birth." This. Big Bear looked troubled, but Jinny's status in his heart far surpassed everything else. Finally, he leaned over and sat down in front of Jinny, murmuring, "Dragon, I'm sorry, I can't go to meet those comrades." Looking at Jinny, who was moaning in labor with a complex expression, Big Bear went to boil a pot of water and wiped the sweat from Jinny's forehead with a hot towel. Sabayati Archipelago, Bai Yi controls the puppet to return to the ship. Monet and the other three were practicing hard, and Solomon was given a seastone collar by him in advance, so he could only work here obediently. Gone. The world is in chaos, and he wants to take this opportunity to completely control the underground world. On Sky Island, Bai Yi opened his eyes again and was already alive. Delia was preparing lunch for him, and Yuli had also gotten up. However, there was always an awkward feeling when the mother and daughter got along. "Sir Bai Yi, someone found a strange fruit again." The guard's report did not excite Bai Yi at all. The residents of Sky Island are really unreliable. In order to get bonuses, they gave away slightly weird fruits, but they turned out to be just ordinary Sky Island fruits. Just when he thought that this fruit was the same as before, he was about to take one look and kill the opponent. The special texture of the fruit made his eyes light up. The pure white fruit looks like a dragon fruit, with bulges like white cloud relief on it, and there are black lines in the bulges. It's the unique shape of devil fruit. Good. After taking the fruit, he ordered his guards, give him 100 million X coins. The residents of Sky Island who sent the fruit quickly thanked them respectfully and were overjoyed after receiving the bonus. Is this thunder fruit? Bai Yi held the fruit and examined it carefully. He didn't remember what the thunder fruit looked like, but the Logia fruit should have a very obvious thunder and lightning appearance. I took out the devil fruit illustration from the sack and finally saw the illustration of this fruit on the third to last page. Logia Union fruit. Sky Island actually has a second Logia fruit. Looking inside the body, the true fire of Samadhi in the Dantian is still burning slowly. And the last trace of impurities in his body was completely burned away by the true fire of Samadhi. Taking a deep breath, my body has never felt better. From this moment on, the side effects from op fruit are completely eliminated. At the same time, he reached out and pressed, room. The transparent surgical cover appears, and what is different from the past is that, the previous room expanded with itself as the center of the circle. But now it has separated from its body and appears on the trees not far away. With a light slash of the hand knife, the big tree was cut into 2 pieces. Pull out the dragon from your waist, and the room's cover appears on the blade. This is the characteristic of op fruit's awakening. Unexpectedly, when the side effects of the fruit are completely eliminated, the fruit's ability will automatically awaken. This is good news, it saves you time of hard training. But it is right to think about it. The elimination of the side effects of the fruit means that the fruit has completely integrated with itself and has become a part of one's body. In the past, I seemed to have gained the authority to use a powerful weapon, and the process of awakening was to continuously increase the authority to use it. But now, the weapon has become his own body, so he no longer needs permission. Because I represent the highest authority. The side effects were completely eliminated, which also meant that he could eat the second devil fruit. Pick up this fruit from the table. Want to eat it? It's not thunder fruit, and it doesn't fit into my plan. Now I also have Paramecia's golden fruit, wrathful fruit and Shangshang fruit, as well as Logia snow fruit. Snake fruit phantom beast species Jormungandr form. These are all good. How to choose? The purpose of his going to Sky Island is for the thunder fruit, and his plan is also to get a Paramecia, a Logia and a phantom beast. In Logia, thunder fruit is obviously more in line with my own preferences. After thinking for a long time, he suddenly smiled. Yun, it seems not bad. This fruit may not be worse than thunder fruit. The unpleasant taste spreads in the mouth, and the remaining pulp is thrown into the trash can, which is no longer needed. When the fruit enters the stomach, the immortal thief Luku activates to eliminate most of the side effects contained in it. His current Luku immortal thief is much higher than when he just got the op fruit, and he has eliminated more side effects. At the same time, the true fire of Samadhi in Dantian also burned brightly. Strings of black smoke that only he could see were burned out of his body. This is an impurity that cannot be completely removed by Luku immortal thief. With a thought, his hand turned into billowing white clouds, and his body turned into 100 layers and rushed out of the window. Is it a cloud? Bai Yi feels the power of the fruit. Suddenly I thought again, isn't that smoker fruit a cloud? He always thought smoker's smoke was clouds. After all, the clouds and fog are almost the same during the smoke season. But if you think about it carefully, you will understand the difference. Smoke is extremely fine solid particles, while clouds are condensed water vapor. For example, he can summon a white cloud and continue to condense it, and the white cloud will turn into a dark cloud. When the water vapor in the clouds condenses into large water droplets, they fall and form rainfall. This is something smoker's smoke fruit does not have. In addition, he can independently control the potential difference between the upper and lower clouds to generate electrical discharges. To a certain extent, he also has the ability of thunder fruit. Perhaps the biggest difference from thunder fruit is that it does not have the speed given by the elementalization of thunder fruit. After all, he is still a cloud after becoming an elemental. He did what he thought of, and a white cloud was summoned by him. The white cloud continued to be compressed, and finally the water vapor could no longer float in the air. In the island owner's mansion, it started to rain heavily. His consciousness sank into the dark clouds, increasing the potential difference between the upper and lower clouds, and a bolt of lightning fell from the sky. This lightning is a full 100 million volts. This is just a small dark cloud. If the size of the dark cloud increases, he is sure to release a billion volts of electricity. Thunder. Enel has only used 200 million volts at most. Chapter 141. When Bai Yi ate this fruit, in a private house in Burka, a young man with an ant's head also swallowed the golden fruit in his hand. Vomit. The young man's complexion changed drastically, he thought it was poisonous. But the fruit had been swallowed. He squatted on the ground and pressed his throat with his hands, hoping to spit out the pulp. However, after trying for a long time, there was nothing except spitting out some acidic water in the stomach. Hoo ho ho. Collapsed on the ground and gasping for air, the young man suddenly found that his arms turned into electricity. It seems that I can control these thunder and lightning. Soon, he found that his whole body turned into thunder and lightning, running around the room at extremely fast speeds. Zitsa. Electricity passed through the window, and he had reached the edge of Burka in the blink of an eye. He waved and a bolt of thunder fell. Ha ha, I am a god. I have become the god of thunder. The young man laughed wildly. What powerful Qinghai people. In front of God, you can only kneel. Countless thunders gathered around him, and bathing in the thunder, he felt unprecedented power filling his body. Destroy. Destroy them all. The thought of destroying everything grew in my heart, and the thunder on Burka was extremely terrifying. Why is it thundering? Burka residents poked their heads out of their houses to see what was happening on the horizon. They had never seen such loud thunder. The flashing lightning illuminated the entire island in white, and they could see nothing but thunder and lightning. In the island owner's mansion, Bai Yi stood with his hands behind his hands. Behind him, mother and daughter Yuli and Delia were startled when they heard the explosive thunder. Brother Bai Yi, why was there such a big thunder suddenly? Will Burka be destroyed? If all these thunderbolts fall, Burka will cease to exist. This is the power of thunder fruit. Bai Yi said calmly. it doesn't matter, he's just a clown. Apparently, the thunder fruit was still eaten by Enel. No wonder he couldn't find it even after he searched for it all over the island. Does he want to directly destroy Burka? Of course, the most likely possibility is that when he first obtained the devil fruit ability, he was unable to control such violent power, which led to Burka being destroyed by lightning. Don't be afraid, just do whatever you have to do, I'll go take a look and come back. Bai Yi gave an order, drew a sword control talisman in the air, the spirit sword appeared, and he stood on the spirit sword and disappeared instantly. The speed of the sword is much faster than the elementalization of Yuyun fruit. In a blink of an eye, he had arrived at the place where thunder gathered. As expected, there was an arrogant young man standing here. Although he is not wrapped in a white turban, his face is still very distinctive. It's Enel. Bai Yi stretched out his hand to summon a large white cloud, which completely covered the thunder. Then, the white clouds condensed and turned into dark clouds. In the dark clouds, lightning struck, shattering all the thunder gathered by Enel. Who are you? Enel saw a man with a sword suddenly coming in front of him, and shattered all his thunder. I couldn't help but feel a little bit afraid. Want to die or live? Bai Yi asked coldly. Enel also snorted coldly. A bug from Qinghai dares to talk to God like this. He is arrogant and arrogant. He transformed into thunder and rushed towards Bai Yi, but as soon as he came to Bai Yi, a big hand grabbed his neck. The hands covered in military colors easily grabbed Enel's throat. With Enel's rubbish physical skills, there is absolutely no possibility of breaking free. You. Enel's eyes widened in disbelief, and just as he was about to say something, he saw the man's other hand cutting his chest in the shape of a knife, and then he dug out his heart and surrounding tissue. He waved his hand and threw Enel to the ground. He held the heart and stepped on Enel. As long as I crush this heart, you will die. If you don't want to die, just kneel in front of me. Enel woke up from the joy of becoming a god, and then realized how much he was looking at the sky from a well. He was unwilling to do so, but he was also afraid of death. Looking at the beating heart in the opponent's hand and the gap in his chest, he could only kneel down in despair. Bai Yi put his heart into the sack. Come with me, and call me master from now on. Tears of humiliation appeared in Enel's eyes, but he had to do this. Yes, master. Walking step by step behind Bai Yi, when Bai Yi returned on the spirit sword and wielded the sword, he also transformed into thunder and followed closely. Returning to the island owner's mansion, Yuli was surprised to find that Bai Yi was followed by a shirtless young man without a heart. But she didn't care, and hugged Bai Yi happily, with a smile on her face. Brother Bai Yi, Lei is really gone. The admiration for Bai Yi in my heart increased even more. After enjoying the lunch carefully prepared by Delia, Bai Yi called Delia, Yuli and Enel to him. Do you want to become stronger? Becoming stronger. Yuli still didn't understand, but Enel's eyes lit up. Are you as strong as the master? Bai Yi nodded. That's right. Think. Enel agreed without thinking, and secretly thought that when he became stronger, he would take revenge today. Bai Yi glanced at him. How could he not see what this guy was thinking? But it doesn't matter. No matter how much he jumps around, I can easily hold him. If he wasn't worried about where the thunder fruit would spawn after killing Enel, he wouldn't have planned to keep Enel. When we get dark fruit later, Enel will be useless. But Yuli has no interest in the so-called becoming stronger. I don't want to be as strong as brother Bai Yi. It's enough to have brother Bai Yi to protect me. Bai Yi shook his head and did not force her. He asked Delia, what about you? Delia is different from her daughter. She said, I want to become stronger. If she could be as strong as Bai Yi, how could she have suffered that kind of humiliation in the first place? How could she sit idly by and remain indifferent when her daughter was being pestered by the island owner's son? In the past few years, she was afraid that her daughter would make the same mistake as her and be bullied by Lucas. Fortunately, the appearance of Bai Yi completely avoided all this. But she understands that Bai Yi is from Qinghai and will definitely not stay in Sky Island forever. He will leave one day, and when he leaves, he will need to protect himself. Good. Bai Yi taught the three people how to practice qi. Yuli had no interest in it at first, but was forced to learn it by her mother Delia. Until Delia quietly said to her, your brother Bai Yi will definitely leave Sky Island. If you can't do anything, he will definitely not bring a burden with him. If you can also become stronger. Maybe your brother Bai Yi will take you on an adventure together. Quote. As soon as these remarks were made, Yuli immediately became energetic. He is also very serious about studying. Conquer Enel, prevent Burka from being destroyed, slightly change the future world line, and reward Lifa. It is detected that the host is no longer a child, and the thunder method automatically transforms into water dirty thunder. As soon as the system's voice fell, Bai Yi felt that the kidney water in his body was receiving the energy of the liver and wood, allowing the yin energy to take the lead. He was strong. When the yin energy was generated, the yang energy would automatically replenish the leakage and refine it. A stream as thick as black liquid appeared in the palm of his hand. Qi flows downward. This is the characteristic of yin lei, which inherits the properties of water and water. Reaching forward, twisted yin thunder shot out from the fingertips like earthworms, winding forward, and the surrounding temperature dropped a little. Yin thunder can take away heat. His expression suddenly changed, attracting large white clouds, which condensed and turned into dark clouds. A large piece of thunder emerged from the body and penetrated into the clouds. The temperature inside the dark clouds dropped rapidly. First it condenses into water droplets, and then the water droplets turn into hail. Hailstones fell from the sky, and the ground crackled 14 times. It's a shame that hail is as indestructible as rain. Bai Yi feels the impact of hail. This ability is very useless. Instead of taking away the heat of the dark clouds and turning them into hail, it is better to wrap the enemy with the northern blue. Withdrawing the yin qi, you have one more way to kill the enemy. He called Enel. I have a mission for you. Enel listened respectfully. Dominate Sky Island and be the absolute ruler. Enel's heart was beating wildly. This was what he wanted to do, but as soon as he started showing off, his heart was stolen by Bai Yi, and his restless ambition had to be eliminated. At this moment, he was extremely pleasantly surprised when he received Bai Yi's permission. Yes, there are many unique materials in Sky Island, such as the shells with various functions. Letting Enel stand in front of the stage will also be more conducive to collecting these materials. These things, when added to the refining tool, may have unexpected magical effects. He has been out alone for a long time, and Hancock on 9 Snake Island is also urging him to go back. Return to the Burka Island owner's mansion and find sterility. Brother Bai Yi, are you leaving? She was very reluctant to give up and expressed that she wanted to go down to the next world with him. Good boy, Burka still needs you to rule. This will be of great help to me. I will come back to see you after handling the following matters. After finally coaxing the girl, I saw Delia taking 2 steps forward to say something. But in the end nothing was said. He smiled at her and nodded. Practice the techniques I entrust you with. It will not only make you stronger, but also keep you young and extend your life. Draw a talisman in the air, use the babble to draw a sword-controlling talisman, step on the spiritual sword, dive into the sea of clouds and rush straight to the lower realm. With this thing, it is much more convenient to go anywhere, many times faster than a ship. I changed my spiritual sword several times along the way and returned to 9 Snakes Island. I went to the island where Rayleigh was located to see the results of Zoro and others' practice, and then returned to 9 Snakes City to be affectionate with the Hancock sisters. The next day, Luo Lin, who opened a cafe in Sabayati, sent the treasure materials brought by the doll from Mariajoy, and he entered the refining room again to start a new round of refining. At the very least, the weapons of the few confidants around him should be replaced with the level of supreme sharp knives. The currency is in chaos. Long led the top cadres of the Revolutionary Army to attack Enies Lobby and then quickly retreated. However, Tai Nang did not continue to take care of the slaves of the Revolutionary Army for the sake of Jinny. As a result, many revolutionary soldiers were rearrested. Because of Big Bear's loss of chain, when Long led people to pick them up, these people were still trying to escape to the Holy Land. The top leaders of the Revolutionary Army met the Knights of God, and a fierce battle broke out. In this battle, Dragon and Crow were seriously injured and fled, while Ivankov was captured. Because of this incident, the Dragon and Big Bear had a rift and scolded Big Bear severely. Long's trust in Big Bear was reduced a lot. The Marine branch in Shihai was severely damaged. Although Akainu and others came to support them, by the time they arrived, the Revolutionary Army had already retreated. During Impel Down, the Whitebeard pirates forcefully broke open the impel-down gate. Director Magellan died in the battle, but their leader Shiryu was seriously injured and escaped. The remaining jailers and others were killed and injured in countless numbers. Moreover, all the prisoners who were imprisoned were also released, including Katrine Deem, San Juan Wolf, Basque Choate, Abaro Pizarro, Valoric Redfield, Berndy Waldo, Douglas Bullet. With the arrival of the Whitebeard pirates, these once vicious pirates have all returned to the sea. The Golden Lion Shiki, who was once as famous as Roger Whitebeard, had the brain of Marineford, destroyed most of Marineford, and successfully escaped after breaking off a left arm. Shiki now has both legs and left arm broken, leaving only one arm. Bai Yi looked through the newspaper, although the reports in the newspaper were not exactly the same as the facts. But he has many intelligence channels and has basically learned the details of the incident. Tisk, tisk, this will inspire the confidence of those who want to go out to sea to find treasures. The Enies Lobby was destroyed, the Impel Down was destroyed, and marine vanity was half destroyed. Now the prestige of the world government and marine has dropped to the lowest level in history. Especially with the reappearance of those once notorious pirates, the sea will be even more chaotic. Such a big change was all caused by me, so I should be rewarded with a big one. He looks forward to the rewards of the system. Sure enough, the system's voice sounded in my mind. Due to your planning, the world was in chaos, and the Revolutionary Army was targeted in advance. The world line was greatly changed, and you will be rewarded with one of the 8 magical skills, double hands. Bai Yi's eyes lit up and he came with both hands. Now the only remaining 8 magical skills are Fenghu Kimen and Deluo Dongguan. Deluo Cave Temple is not important for the time being. If he can get Fenghu Kimen, he can start building a self-cultivation furnace. When the time comes, copy ability users in batches. Even if you only have 2 hands now, you can still do some things. Just when he was about to take action, news came from Solomon's intelligence organization that Nico Robin was hiding in the branch of the World Economic News Agency in West Blue. That was the power controlled by Morgans. Solomon asked if he needed to bring Robin back. Bai Yi thought for a while and rejected the suggestion. Robin has been living in betrayal for the past 20 years. Everyone around her wants her in exchange for a bounty. Any slightest disturbance will arouse her vigilance and make her run away in advance. Let Solomon tell Morgans not to alert the enemy, and the puppet will go to see Robin in person. New World, Bai Yi controls the puppet and sails west across the calm belt to West Blue. In a newspaper office in West Blue, a beautiful lady with a slim figure and a distinctive face was pushing open the office door with a document. Lori, you did a great job. Do you want me to recommend you to the headquarters? West Blue, Admiral Island. A large sailing ship docked in the port. Bai Yi was about to control the puppet to land when Solomon suddenly came to report. Lord Yongye, Morgans just called and said that Nico Loba is missing. The feet that were about to get off the boat suddenly stopped in midair. Gone. Solomon's expression was very frightened. This was a task specially assigned by Lord Yongye, but the people below him were actually overwhelmed. He was worried whether Bai Yi would kill him in anger. His cold eyes glanced at Solomon, making the strong man feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Heaven, because he tremblingly wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Is it to blame Bai Yi for rejecting the proposal to capture Nico Robin directly? If Bai Yi hadn't insisted on coming to see Robin in person, Robin would have been brought to them now. Solomon thought so, but he didn't dare to say it. Bai Yi retracted the foot that was about to stretch out and said thoughtfully, she is really alert. She probably noticed that the superiors were spying on Robin, so she ran away in advance. But the sea is dangerous, and it is not easy for a person to go to sea. If there is no large ship to carry her, she can only hide on a Benluo island. Besides, she is still a landlubber herself. After thinking about it, he decided to get off the boat first. Ask if there are any ships going out to sea in the past 2 days. I'll get off the boat to do some errands, and you can continue practicing. After giving instructions to Monet and others, he jumped off the boat and speeded up. After opening the phagocytosis sac, a large group of flying insects flew towards the island. They put on a monocular on their faces and paid attention to the vision of each flying insect. At the port, when he just got off the boat, a little boy of 11 or 12 years old ran over and asked him if he needed a guide. Sir, our Abenluo Island is a famous tourist resort in West Blue. I heard that even the nobles of the Holy Land like the beautiful scenery here. The little boy was very talkative and praised his hometown. Because of the beautiful scenery, foreign tourists often come to Abenluo Island, but they are not as good as he praised. Otherwise, he would not be the only one waiting at the port to solicit customers. But at his young age, this is the most suitable and easiest job for him. Bai Yi stopped and asked, "Are you familiar with this island?" Seeing Bai Yi speak, the boy immediately replied happily, "Sir, I am familiar with every street here. No matter where you want to go, I can find the fastest passenger for you." Good. Bai Yi agreed to his request as a guide, and the boy quickly introduced himself. "Sir, my name is Dulu. People on the island like to call me Gulu. My sister also likes to call me Gulu. You can also call me Gulu." Quote. Bai Yi was not interested in the boy's name. He walked forward and asked, "Have there been any ships leaving here in the past 2 days?" Drew replied, "No, show up. I'm waiting for new tourists here every day. Usually a group of tourists will arrive in 3 to 5 days, and they will stay with us for a while before leaving. The last time a ship left was a week ago. If there are no ships leaving, then there is a high probability that Niccolo is still on the island. His ship was docked at the port, leaving a flying insect here to monitor it. Once a ship was about to leave, he would know immediately." Not knowing exactly where Robin was hiding, he asked Drew to take him around the island. Drew is indeed a qualified guide. He knew the routes on the island very well, and could also tell him stories about what happened in various places with great emotion. However, no trace of Nico Robin was found along the way. She is a person who is good at hiding, a skill she has acquired through more than 10 years of survival. But Bai Yi is not in a hurry. Along the way, flying insects have spread all over the place. As long as Robin appears, he can find her immediately. On the road, I met a man who bullied Gulu, and was slapped by Bai Yi, losing a tooth, and then he became honest. My lord, if you hit Job, he will take revenge. Although Gulu was grateful to Bai Yi for taking action for him, he was also worried. Bai Yi is confused. Does this guy also have a background? Is he an island owner or something? Job doesn't have much background, Gulu said, but he is a well-known gangster here. He brings a few gangsters everywhere to cause trouble. You are an outsider and there are many of them. You will suffer a loss. Since ancient times, it has been said that the king of hell is easy to deal with, but the devil is difficult to deal with. This kind of gangster is that kind of kid. Although he is not powerful, he is very troublesome. Just a gangster. Bai Yi doesn't care, the worst he can do is kill them all. Tell Gulu not to worry and continue to take him to visit the island and enjoy delicious food. Hey, this necklace is quite beautiful. He casually picked up a handmade necklace. The materials of this necklace were not expensive, but the workmanship was very beautiful. Gentlemen, Gulu quietly pulled on his sleeve, but he didn't pay attention. After looking at it twice, I decided to put the necklace back. As a result, the boss lady who was getting fat was not happy. You have soiled my product, so you have to buy it. What? Bai Yi was surprised and thought he heard it wrong. I just picked it up and took a look. But the boss lady said, our rules here are that you have to buy it when you pick it up. Otherwise, don't move. Otherwise, if everyone picks it up and looks at it like you, sooner or later it will be damaged. It's not entirely unreasonable. The necklace happened to be really beautiful. Bai Yi asked, how much does it cost? 100,000 Baileys. The boss lady's big mouth made Bai Yi laugh and threw the necklace back. Blackmail me. The face of the landlady also turned cold. My jewelry has always been sold at this price. Why don't you pick up the wine without asking me? Do you blame me? Hee. Bai Yi turned around and said, you think I don't understand this material? It's up to 300 belly. If you dare to ask for 100,000, what's that if it's not blackmail? The boss, Zhao, stood up excitedly. At this moment, several administrators with armbands came over not far away. What's going on? The landlady said loudly, this outsider took my things and won't pay me. These people immediately surrounded Bai Yi. If you don't pay, you are stealing. If you don't pay, we will arrest you. Bai Yi sneered. She blackmailed me, I put the things back, what money did she give me? The leading man pointed at him with 10 fingers. Now that you have picked it up, you have to buy it. Pay quickly. At this time, Bai Yi also saw that these people were a gang and their purpose was to blackmail outsiders. No longer bothering to talk nonsense with them, the power of the iron fruit was activated. The 10 hands and iron sticks in these people's hands immediately turned into molten iron, and then condensed into steel knives to chop off their heads. Bai Yi's real body may have some worries when doing things, but Yang Yi, the doll, has no worries at all. The head fell to the ground, and the surroundings were deathly silent. The boss lady, who was as arrogant as an old hen, suddenly felt like a duck being pinched by the neck and did not dare to speak. Seeing Bai Yi's eyes looking over, her legs trembled, and a faint yellow liquid left between her legs. The smell spread, making the people around her frown. Fortunately, the doll has no sense of smell, so Bai Yi can't smell this unpleasant smell. And you, there must be quite a few people who have been blackmailed by you. His calm words sounded like the whispers of a devil in the ears of the landlady. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The flying knife slowly came to her. Just when Bai Yi was about to cut off the head of the landlady, there were footsteps approaching quickly in the distance. Turn around. It was the man who had one of his front teeth knocked out by himself. He came with a dozen big men carrying sticks. However, as soon as they got closer, they saw several headless corpses on the ground and flying knives suspended in front of the landlady. The arrogant arrogance suddenly disappeared, and when he met Bai Yi's eyes filled with murderous intent, he felt a chill in his heart. He quickly threw away the stick in his hand and knelt down with a naive smile on his face. Brother, I'll clean up the bloodline for you. But when the landlady saw him, it was like seeing a savior, and she shouted, Job. This bastard killed Molten. He took my stuff and didn't pay me, so hurry up and take him down. Xiao Bu's expression changed greatly, and he wanted to slap the landlady's mouth to bits, and quickly said to Bai Yi. Brother, I don't know her, I don't know what she is barking at. Fear spread in his heart, and he pulled the people behind him to kneel down together, for fear of being beheaded by Bai Yi. The landlady looked at Job in disbelief. You idiot. You weren't so cowardly when you were with me. Aren't you just a foreigner? Why are so many of you afraid of him? Bai Yi looked at the landlady's fat body in shock, and said, Tisk, the taste is really strong. Are you also with them? Job shook his head repeatedly. I'm not. I don't know them. The gangsters behind him were also frightened by the corpse and shook their heads along with him. Bai Yi smiled. Follow me. Job didn't know what he wanted to do, so he could only follow them. As soon as they turned around, the fat boss's wife was beheaded by a flying knife suspended in front of him. Blood spread all over the table. It was the first time Gulu saw such a bloody scene, and he was stunned for a moment. This arrogant ant, and those administrators who bullied others, died like this. While he was in a daze, Bai Yi put a hand on his head, frightening him and saying, don't kill me. Bai Yi was speechless. He used a flying knife to pick out the box containing money from the landlady and put it in Gulu's hand. This is your guide fee. He patted his little head again and left with Job and others. In a street corner not far away, a girl wearing a sun hat witnessed everything in front of her. She pulled the sun hat down again to cover her cheeks. Why does demon fruit power appear on this island? What is he doing with Job and others? Thinking of the conversation she overheard 2 days ago, she felt that her current situation was very unsafe. The underground world is also looking for me. Is it also for the bounty? Could this ability user appear and be from Urgenzi? The thoughts in her heart turned around, and she quietly shouted, Gulu. Gulu turned around blankly. When he saw the girl, he was about to shout in surprise. The girl quickly put her index finger to her lips and shook her head at him. Gulu quickly shut up, and the happy sea girl was disappointed. Coming to the shadow at the corner of the street, Gulu happily handed the wooden box in his hand to the girl. Sister. This is the money I earned today. The girl praised. Well done, Gulu. After taking the wooden box, she didn't open it. She saw what happened just now and said that this was the landlady's money. Gulu, my sister asked you, who was that big brother just now? Gulu replied. He is a tourist who came to our island today. Sister, big brother is so kind. Not only did he listen to the stories Gulu told, but he also bought a lot of delicious food for Gulu. Before leaving, he gave Gulu so much money. The boss's wife and others bullied not only outsiders, but locals also had to endure humiliation in front of them. Therefore, Gulu didn't care about the death of the boss's wife. The initial fear of seeing dead people was quickly forgotten. Then, did he say what he came to Abenluo Island for? The girl asked, still smiling. Gulu thought about it carefully, shook his head and said, I don't know, Big Brother didn't say anything. Suddenly, he thought of something again and said to the girl, but at first, my eldest brother asked me if there had been any ships leaving in the past 2 days. I said no. Then he kept following me around various places on the island. The girl remained calm on the surface and patted Gulu on the head. Thank you, sister, I have something else to do, so I won't go back to eat today. With that said, she put her sun hat on her head and turned around to leave. The man asked if any ships had left recently. She was sure that this person must be here for her. I have to leave here as soon as possible. The relationship between Gulu and me will soon be discovered by him. This island is no longer safe. Facing the bright sunshine, the girl raised her head slightly and thought about how to escape. Under the sun, her face is so beautiful, she is exactly the last member of the Straw Hats that Bai Yi has been looking for, Nico Robin. In a tavern, Bai Yi asked for a private room. Said to Job and others. Find me someone. She is very beautiful, 19 years old, 1.88 meters tall, with black hair and very tender skin. She used to work as the secretary to the branch chief of the West Blue branch of the World Economic News Agency. He told Job and others about Robin's appearance and characteristics. A beauty like Robin is very eye-catching no matter where she is, and gangsters like Job will not miss her. Sure enough, after he finished describing it, Job immediately said, Sir, are you looking for Luo Li? Wouldn't it be better to go directly to the newspaper office to find her? Luo Li is Robin's pseudonym. These people still don't know that Robin has left the newspaper office and doesn't know where he is hiding now. She left the newspaper. Job added, Sir, you can go find Guru. Seeing Bai Yi's confusion, he quickly explained, she has a good relationship with Gulu. When she first came to Abenluo Island, the Gulu family took her in. Later she found a job in a newspaper and helped Gulu's grandfather repay the loan. Gulu has been called her sister. She often goes to Gulu's house for dinner on weekdays. That little boy. Bai Yi was surprised. He didn't expect Robin to be so close to him. It turns out that the sister Gulu talks about is Nico Robin. Where is Gulu's home? In front of an old private house, Bai Yi knocked on the door. Gulu opened the door with a broom and seemed to be cleaning. Big brother, how did you come? Gulu looked outside the door and found Bai Yi alone. With a smile on his face, Bai Yi said softly, Is Luo Li your sister? Ah, do you know your sister? Gulu was surprised. My sister asked me just now, what is your relationship? Bai Yi said, we were friends when we were young. I recently heard that she came to Abenluo Island. I happened to be passing by here and wanted to talk to her about old times. He just told a lie casually, and a child at this age has no discerning ability. But he got an important message. Robin and Gulu asked themselves just now, which means that Robin is still on the island and has not gone far. The downgraded flying insect began to search nearby, and at the same time asked Gollum, Is your sister at your house now? Gulu said in frustration, No, my sister said she has something to do and won't be back for the past 2 days. Did you really notice it? It was probably him who committed the murder, which made Robin wary. This shows that Robin was near that vendor before, but I don't know where he was hiding. Big brother, do you want to come to my house for dinner? Gulu had a good sense of Bai Yi. After returning home, he opened the wooden box and found 100,000 Bai Yi inside. This is enough for their family to live for a long time. Bai Yi smiled and said, No, I will look for Luo Li. If I can't find her, I will leave here. Okay. Seeing that Bai Yi didn't intend to come in, Gulu didn't continue to invite him. Saying goodbye to Gulu, Bai Yi walked away. Behind him, the door closed, but what Gulu didn't notice was that a small flying insect flew in before he closed the door. In the monocular, Bai Yi paid attention to the sight of the flying insect that entered Gulu's house. After checking all the rooms, I saw only Gulu's old grandfather, and no one else. It seems that Gulu is not lying, Luobao is really not at his home. Where will it be hidden? Standing on the street, he didn't know where to look. In addition to flying insects, he also asked Job and others to help search for traces of Luo Shi. However, Robin hid very carefully and never exposed his whereabouts. It would be nice if there was Fenghu Kimin, so that he could ask Robin's whereabouts in the interior scene. Or, to the general direction. Wandering aimlessly on the street, a large group of soldiers appeared in front of him. They were armed with spears but no armor, and quickly surrounded Bai Yi. The captain pointed at Bai Yi with a long knife on his waist. I am the captain of the guard of Loguetown. Someone reported that you killed the town's sheriff. Now I want to arrest you and put you in jail. Although Burka Island is not big, it is the territory of a world government member country, and there are guard troops left by the kingdom here. But this guard force only had a dozen people. They only had weapons and were not even issued armor. However, with this status, the captain of the guard can exploit the townspeople and use it to enrich himself. The 3 police officers who were in cahoots with the fat landlady were his subordinates. Moreover, he also instructed these people to combine with gangsters like Job, and certain things that were inconvenient for the guards to come forward would be done by this group of gangsters. Noisy. Bai Yi's progress did not stop. The iron spearheads in the hands of the guards turned directly into molten iron, and then condensed into flying knives, beheading all these people. He left corpses on the ground and left calmly. This kind of guard has no role in resisting pirates. The only purpose of their existence is to oppress good people and kill them. No one in the surrounding crowd dared to make a sound. Kill the sheriff, kill the guards, this man looks more sinister than a pirate. But he is different from pirates. He didn't bully these ordinary people and would use money to buy whatever he wanted. On the contrary, the townspeople only felt happy at the death of these guards who bullied men and women all day long. In a small tea house nearby, a girl wearing a sun hat tasted tea elegantly. She had a panoramic view of the scene happening below. If you don't plunder, you may not be a pirate. If he dares to kill the guards of a country that has joined the world government, he should not be from the government. Is it someone from the underworld looking for me? Morgans. Robin analyzed Bai Yi's identity, but she didn't notice that a flying insect landed on the table in front of her. Bai Yi, who continued to move forward, suddenly stopped. The scene in the monocular made him smile. The body suddenly turned into iron element and dissipated. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Robin. Got you, Nico Robin. Robin was shocked when she saw Bai Yi disappear, but before she could make a move, the man had already arrived in front of her. As expected, the other party knew her true identity. Robin was shocked and quickly calmed down. She did not attack rashly, but smiled gracefully and said, "What do you want from me?" Bai Yi sat opposite Robin and looked at the beautiful woman in front of him. 19-year-old Robin has a more youthful atmosphere than in anime, but her sexual beauty is already revealed at this time. Nico Robin, son of the devil, with a bounty of 79 million belly, a survivor of Ohara. .00. Bai Yi revealed Robin's identity word for word, which shocked Robin, but she remained calm on the surface and listened to Bai Yi's words calmly. Grandmaster, Ohara's scholar, was eradicated by the world government in a buster call because he was looking for a blank space for 100 years. You, who was only 8 years old at the time, were accused of sabotaging 6 marine warships and were offered a reward. It's really ridiculous. Robin was even more shocked that this person knew her past very well. He even knows the ancient writings and the truth behind Ohara's destruction. You have lived a life of wandering around for 11 years, being betrayed at any time, but you have never found anyone you can rely on. Bai Yi looked directly into Robin's eyes. Come with me, I can guarantee that you will not be betrayed by anyone, nor will you be discriminated against or bullied by anyone. I'm not interested in ancient texts. The blank 100 years are nothing more than a shady story about the establishment of the world government. If you want to find it, I can help you. Suddenly he smiled again and said, I happen to know the locations of several historical texts. If you are interested, I can tell you. Robin didn't speak. This man knew too much. She relied on Ohara's knowledge and had been searching for so many years, but she had never seen a piece of historical text. She had only heard that these things existed. But he actually said he knew its location. Moreover, if you don't want to catch yourself, and you don't need your own knowledge, then what is the purpose of this person recruiting you? Who does he like in himself? Seeing that Robin didn't believe it, Bai came up with it. There is a historical text in the funerary hall of the Western Royal Tomb of the Alabasta Palace, which records the location of Pluton, one of the 3 ancient weapons. But Pluton is actually just a battleship. Its design drawings are in the hands of Tom in the Seven Waters capital, and now Tom has joined my command. The base of the golden clock in the golden village of Gaia Island records the secret of the ancient weapon Poseidon. But Poseidon is actually the mermaid princess of this generation, Shirahoshi. If you want to see her, I can take you there. Also, the Golden Country was washed up on Sky Island and is no longer in the sea. I can also take you to Sky Island. You have already seen the section in the basement of O'Hara's Tree of Knowledge, so I won't say more. The Fishman Island Sea Forest contains Joey Boy's confession. How? Join my potential 040 force. Bai once again invited Robin. But, what do you need me to do? Robin remained unmoved. She knew that profit came first in this world. You are a talent, Bai said bluntly. In addition to Grandmaster's ancient writings, your sensitivity to intelligence and insight into people's hearts indicate that you will be a perfect employee. I need someone like you now. To be more specific, what do I need to be responsible for? Robin continued to ask. Bai didn't hide it either. I have captured the king of the underground world, Solomon Archibald, but I need someone to take over the power he controls. For example, the World Economic News Agency is a place where the underground world gathers information. Its leader, Morgans, is from Solomon. I think you are very suitable to sit in this position. Bai's promise undoubtedly moved Robin's heart. Although she can't completely trust Bai yet, if it is true as he said, she will be able to live a stable life without having to run around and worry about being overtaken by others. Her bounty of more than 70 million yuan is not worth even to such a strong person. Okay, I'll join you. When Robin smiled, she was as beautiful and charming as a peony in full bloom. Having worked hard in the dark for a long time, she naturally knows how to be charming. It's a pity that what she faced was just a puppet, and she couldn't stir up any emotions in the puppet. Bai herself has been polished by Hancock for a long time and is completely immune to her smile. He took out a small booklet from the capsule. This contains a cultivation method that is different from hockey's. It will be very helpful to you. You can practice it. Robin took the booklet and looked at it twice, but he couldn't understand it. But he was very interested in Bai's strangeness. Bai smiled and said, as long as you can master Qi, you can control this magic weapon that can collect objects at will. When the time comes, I will give you one. Robin nodded. You are incredible. Go back to the newspaper office. Bai stood up and said, I will ask Solomon to give Morgans an order to transfer you to the newspaper headquarters. I need you to be completely familiar with the structure and business of the newspaper, and take the opportunity to replace Morgans and become the real leader of the newspaper. Robin said, okay, she is very familiar with this kind of lurking and betrayal. You trust me so much. Aren't you afraid that I will run away? Bai smiled lightly and said, you are a smart man, and it is the wisest choice to work with me. Of course, in essence, he has completed the transformation of Robin's clothes and hid a flying insect on her clothes. No matter where Robin goes, he can always find her. He stood up and left, leaving only Robin watching his back. What a strange man. After Bai disappeared, she reopened the booklet left by Bai. Qi, it's also a technique I've never heard of before. Conquering Robin. Host has completely conquered all members of the Straw Hats except for the protagonist Luffy. The task of cutting off the beheads is completed. You can choose 2 of the 8 unique skills. Because it has been detected that there are only 2 of the 8 magic skills that the host has not obtained yet, the system will automatically issue them. The doll walking on the road suddenly stopped, because Bai in Snake City suddenly felt 2 forces coming on him. The last 2 of the 8 wonders are Fanghu Kimin and Deluo Cave. He understood these 2 magical skills in an instant. Put your foot on the middle palace and move the 4 discs at will. Interesting. Walking out of the room, he stretched out his hand and waved, Kunzi Tuhaish. The earth flows like a tide, and the earth rolls up like a wave. If there is an enemy in front of you at this time, you will be swallowed up by the earth in an instant. Genzi DeLongyu. His body sank into the ground. He did not use the earth immortal, but he could swim in the earth. Drilled out of the ground. Duizi He Luli. The hands and forearms suddenly turned into pitch black, with a luster like glass. When the arms touch it, it makes a banging sound. It has amazing hardness and extremely strong resistance to high temperatures. He demonstrated the skills of Kimin Shushu. Various elements were under his control. The wonderful feeling was exciting. Then, visit Luodong. In the comics, there is no specific information about Deluo Cave yet, but at this moment, he already understands the true meaning of Daquan Cave. The effect is only a personal guess. Its essence is the ultimate of Deyong God. Jiating's wish is to see the full picture of everything in the world. But, can humans do this? If one abandons the physical body and observes the world with the Yang God, it is possible to gain an insight into the whole world. In addition, Jiating can appear and disappear out of thin air, and it is suspected that it can bend or change. It is said that Zhang Bajuan, the real person of Ziyang, once traveled with Zen monks as Yuanshan. The two of them arrived in Yangzhou in an instant, and each returned with a beautiful flower. However, after the two men came to their senses, the eminent monk's sleeves were empty, but Master Ziyang had Changhua in his hands. He then said, "You are just a yin god, and I have reached the realm of yang god." The so-called yang god, when gathered, takes shape, and when dispersed, he becomes qi. He roams freely between heaven and earth. He travels in the north blue in the evening sky, and the four poles of the universe arrive in an instant. It corresponds to the sudden appearance or disappearance of Gujiting. Because when Yang Shen is dispersed, it becomes qi, which cannot be noticed by others, and can come to any place at any time. Scar Man and Ruhua, if possessed, only Chu Yang Shen is more suitable. If it is imitated, with the characteristics of Yang Shen gathering and dispersing at will, it can also achieve such changes. Precisely because it is the ultimate Yang Shen form, it can ignore Wang Yi's Luanjin Tuo. He returned to the house again, sat cross-legged on the bed, and thought that Yang Shen had already left. Without the shackles of the physical body, the world seemed to have opened another door to him, and his understanding of Tao became deeper. Then, the soul moved with the wind, and in the blink of an eye, it had arrived at West Blue Obanluo Island, where Robin was stuck in the study park, flipping through the booklet. Not far away is the doll parked on the roadside. He drilled his soul into the puppet, his eyes lit up, and controlling it personally, and using qi to control it, were two completely different feelings. Now, this doll, just like his physical body, moves extremely smoothly. Tisk tisk, with this ability, where in the world can't you go? Return to the ship, call Solomon, and ask him to transfer Robin to a core position under Morgan's. Solomon knew that he would gradually replace his own people, but he did not dare to resist and could only do it. On Abenluo Island, when the president of this branch received Morgan's order, Robin, who had escaped, also happened to return. Luoli, you came back just in time. I have reported your excellent performance to the headquarters. Now our boss is going to transfer you to the headquarters. Someone from the headquarters will come to pick you up in the next 2 days. Please prepare. After saying that, he poured Robin a cup of tea himself and said with a smile, "In the year you have been here with me, I have treated you well. When you get to the headquarters, give me a nice word to the boss." On the boat, they checked Monet and others' spiritual fulfillment day and night. All three have made good progress. The power of the talisman made of sugar increased by 3 points, and Monet's knowledge became more powerful. Although Ah Jin has already mastered Qi, Monet can still rely on his knowledge and color to prevent Ah Jin's attacks from hitting him at all. Of course, Akin's training is equally hard and hardworking, no less than that of Zoro, who trains as a devil all day long. He majored in Baji Quan, Dragon Claw Hand and Great Compassion Hand, and has achieved initial results. He planned to let Monet and the Sugar Sisters take over the Lone Shark King Dufelder, and let Akin take over the killer organization of the Killer King Dorag Picro. But the strength of the killer organization is supreme, and Akin's current strength is still extremely lacking. But strength is honed in battles, and with him always following him, Ah Jin will never be able to grow. Calling the three people over, he told them his plan. Monet first said, I have no problem, I will definitely be able to help Mr. Yi take down the Lone Shark organization. Sugar didn't care, she would go wherever Bai Yi asked her to go, or do whatever her sister said. When it comes to his ability to do things, Monet is more meticulous and more capable of latent tasks. But in terms of combat effectiveness, Monet is no longer as good as Sugar. Although Naomi has made great progress in Wentz, the heavenly sword demon subduing talisman made by Sugar is not only more numerous but also more powerful. Under the indiscriminate bombardment, even if Monet could use his senses, he couldn't avoid it. Ajin, your current strength is just the weakest pirate in the New World. Bai Yi's attack on Ajin was rude, however, what I taught you is enough for you to become stronger quickly. Only by experiencing life and death in the killer organization can you integrate what I taught you. Ajin said. I understand, Lord Yi, I will kill Picro and take down the killer organization for you. He nodded and asked Solomon again to place the 3 people in the Lone Shark and killer organizations. He already felt that his importance was rapidly decreasing. If he didn't do something, he would be at risk of being obliterated at any time after Monet and the other 3 completely took control of these 2 organizations. But what can be done? He does not know. After arranging these, Bai Yongshen left the doll body and returned to Nine Snakes City. His eyes opened, an array of light burst out. Beside him is Boa Hancock, who has always been with him. Seeing Hancock's half-naked body, he felt hot in his stomach. After some exercise, Hancock fell into a deep sleep. He opened the door and went to the weapon refining room. Now that everything is ready, the construction of the slimming furnace can begin. There are various precious materials brought by the puppets from Mariajoy, and he combines the magic machine and the numerology changes of Fenghu Kimen. Starting from the materials, various tools began to hammer and hammer. Hey, the doll should be brought back. With the help of the ability of the iron fruit, the refining furnace can be made faster. But the doll is currently far away in West Blue, and he won't be able to come back for a while, so he had to slowly build it himself. Fortunately, he is already extremely strong, both physically and mentally. The shape of a furnace gradually appeared, and it was arranged according to 8 trigrams. These materials were vaguely arranged into a gas area. In the chi situation, it can drive the flow of chi of others, and can also imitate the inner scene and carry out deeper copying. It looks very much like Taisheng Laojun's 8 trigrams furnace. After 3 whole days and 3 women's night, Bai Yi looked at the stove in front of him with satisfaction. Although it was his first time to make it, he had rich experience in refining it and he had already built it to the most perfect level. The next step is the most critical core. The core required both hands to provide it, but he had been working without sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, and his spirit was extremely exhausted. There was a high possibility of failure in refining the core at this moment. After leaving the refining room, he entered the hot spring bath to wash off the dust and fatigue on his body. Then, after eating a full 100 kilograms of sea king's meat, he held Hancock's waist and returned to the bedroom. Sisters Sonia and Mary also returned yesterday. Bai Yi, who had not enjoyed being slept with for a long time, had another intense exercise in the middle of the night. This sleep lasted until dusk the next day. After getting up and eating, he entered the refining room and started preparing for the refining of the core. The essence of the core is a round ball with life characteristics. He took out the stone of life he had collected and the 10 huge sea king's hearts he had just taken out, and placed them on the table. Touching these materials with both hands, a layer of chi wraps them. The stone of life that beats like a heart gradually melts, and the 10 sea king's hearts continue to condense. There is blood flowing out, which is impurity. The red and blue rays of light complement each other, and both hands have been used by him to the ultimate. Closing his eyes, the chi seeds in his dantian have become the size of a fist, and it seems that they may break out of the cocoon at any time. That is his soul. Within the body, Yongshen possesses the ultimate spiritual power, constantly strengthening the power of both hands. There is still a wisp of fire burning under the dantian, and the red and blue light in both hands seems to have undergone some incredible changes. Time passed very quickly. Even if he had extraordinary strength, it took a whole day to refine the core at this moment. Exhaling a breath of turbid air, he looked at the core beating like a heart in his hand. On the core, he refined a protective shield like a hard muscle. Outside these protective covers, There are small openings that not only prevent the core from being damaged, but also connect to the slimming furnace. Success or failure depends on this. The outer furnace has been completed and the core has been refined. Now it depends on whether the self-cultivation furnace can meet your expectations. A white cloud appeared from under his feet. He stepped on the cloud and came to the top of the self-cultivation furnace. He used the method of controlling objects to control the self-cultivation furnace to open, and place the core in the center position. The stove slowly closed and he turned on the switch next to it. The light came on and the slimming furnace started running. I touched my chin and decided to experiment. Walking out of the refining room, the sunlight outside was a bit dazzling. He stayed in there a little too long. Arriving at the fighting platform, female warriors are training and competing here. Above the platform are the three Hancock sisters and Salome. He stepped on the auspicious clouds to the high platform and sat next to Hancock. Has it be done? Hancock knew that he had been refining weapons, and was also curious about what magical things he had been doing these days. What did you do this time? Bai Yi put his arms around her waist and said with a smile, it's a good thing that can copy ability users, but it still needs to be tested to see if it can be successful. A person who copies abilities. Hancock didn't understand the meaning of this sentence. Can a person with abilities still copy it? Did Bai Yi create an artificial devil fruit? Roughly, it means copying one person's ability to another person. Bai Yi gave a general explanation, but now we need to find someone to do the experiment. Who do you think is better? Husband, your ability is too terrifying. Once the world government knows about it, we may be wiped out. Sonia next to her said, until we have enough strength to confront the world government, it is better not to let too many people know. If you need to recruit someone for experiments, it must be someone we can trust. Mary also agreed with her point of view. Yes, with these exercises you gave us, our strength has improved rapidly now, and Yamato you brought back, her strength is the most convincing here. But, husband, although the Yamato people are nice, after all, you brought them back from outside, so you can't trust them completely. Bai Yi nodded, what they said makes sense. Strength. Now I have reached the level of 4 emperors. However, the world government has more than 1 emperor-level combat power, and there is also the unfathomable Lord I am. First choose someone you trust to test the effect of the slimming furnace. Quote. Sonia said, husband, sister, I think Lan, Genshin, Cosmos and Daisy are absolutely trustworthy. You can ask them if they are willing to accept the experiment. Hancock nodded after hearing this. Yes, the 4 of them are indeed loyal. Mary, go and bring them for questioning. Mary stepped down, found the 4 people, and brought them to the high platform. Hancock explained Bai Yi's plan to them. If it succeeds, you will gain the ability of Devil Fruit. The experiment may fail, but there should be no danger. Bai Yi explained that facing their trusted generals, there was no need to hide anything, and it was up to them to decide whether they agreed to participate in the experiment. The 4 of them looked at each other, and Jendon was the first to say, Master Bai Yi, Master Shiji, I am willing to participate in this experiment. The other 3 people also hurriedly said, I am willing too. Sure enough, their most loyal confidants did not let them down. A big white cloud appeared at their feet. Follow me. Then, another big white cloud appeared under his feet, carrying him, the 3 Gorgon sisters and Salome to the weapon refining room. In the refining room, everyone gathered around the slimming furnace to watch. Is this what you said can replicate Devil Fruit's ability? That's right. Bai Yi came to the console. Sonia, you are lying in this cabin. He directed Sonia to enter the self-cultivation furnace and asked Lan to enter the cabin next to her. Don't be nervous, there is no danger even if you fail. I believe Master Bai Yi. Lan said seriously and lay down in the cabin next to him. On the operating table, Bai Yi pulled down the valve, and the light was still flowing in the self-cultivation furnace. The rumbling sound echoed in the refining room, and the fitness center was already running. Everyone was watching this nervously. A faint smoke enveloped the slimming stove, adding a bit of mystery to it. Finally, when the slimming furnace stopped running, the hatch opened and the 2 people walked out of it unscathed. How do you feel? He stepped forward and asked Lan how he felt. Lan was surprised and said, there is a very magical experience entering my body. I am trying to feel it. Closing her eyes, she used chi to guide the tyrannical power in her body. Suddenly, her body changed. The cheeks bulge, the body becomes longer, and green scales appear in the mountains. She turned into a snake. To be precise, it's a huge anaconda. Success. Bai Yi is overjoyed. Even if the others heard him talk about the ability of the slimming furnace, they were still very surprised. In their minds, this is impossible. But there are still some shortcomings. Bai Yi quickly discovered the shortcomings. The anaconda that Lan transformed into was smaller than Sonia. After repeated tests, he determined that the power Lan gained from the anaconda form was only 80% of Sonia's. Not perfect. He asked the 3 men from Gendon to step forward to experiment. Among them, Genshin also received the power of Sonia's anaconda fruit, while Cosmos and Daisy received the power of Mary's cobra. Like Lan, their copied zone abilities are only 80% as powerful as the original ones. But it's not bad, because this kind of copying is unlimited. Although they can't reach the real power of the fruit, they don't have any side effects. If copied on a large scale to everyone, 9 Snakes' grassroots strength will immediately increase several times. He warned Lan and others to work hard to familiarize themselves with their newly acquired abilities. If there is anything they don't understand, they can ask Sony and Mary. Although the copied ability is only 80%, the advantage is that Sonia and Mary have to wear the Luku Immortal Thief, and the side effects of the fruit have been eliminated by 90%. Therefore, the abilities obtained by Lan and the other 4 are not afraid of sea stone water. Moreover, the copied abilities can still be awakened. After Lan and 4 others Li Dejout left, Bai Yi said to Hancock and others, "I will teach you how to operate it, and I will copy the Samadhi True Fire to you later." With the Samadhi True Fire, the side effects of the fruit can be completely eliminated, and at the same time, the fruit can awaken. At that time, you can also eat the second fruit. He now has the devil fruit that the puppet brought from the Holy Land, which is enough for him to eat a second one, and he can also choose the ability feathers he needs. Hancock's love fruit is okay, but Sonia and Mary are just ordinary zone species, with limited room for further improvement, and a second fruit is needed to increase their strength. Can I still eat the second fruit? Several people can feel that the side effects of the fruit are quickly eliminated these days, but recently it seems to have reached a certain bottleneck, and the last side effects cannot be eliminated no matter what. It turns out that this ability called Samadhi True Fire is still needed. The operation of the self-cultivation furnace is not complicated. After teaching them, Salome operated it first. Bai Yi and Hancock lay in it and copied the Samadhi True Fire to her. Then came Sonia, then Mary. Finally, Hancock operated, and she copied the Samadhi True Fire to Salome. After the 3 Hancocks obtained the Samadhi True Fire, there was faint black smoke coming out of their bodies, which was the burned impurities. It is the part that contains the soul of devil fruit. But when Salome obtained the true fire of Samadhi, her body suddenly burst into flames. She was like a creature in the flames, and the richer black gas was forced out. "Salome," Hancock exclaimed, "she is always calm and seldom loses her composure like this." In this world, perhaps the only people in the world who could make it lose its temper were Bai Yi, his 2 younger sisters, and Salome. Sonia and Mary were equally panicked and didn't know what was happening. "Don't panic." Bai Yi stopped their impulse to rush over. Although they don't understand, they can see clearly. Salome is now shedding her demon body and completely transforming into a human. In the raging flames, Salome didn't seem to be in pain. She had closed her eyes and sat down cross-legged. Behind her is the shadow of a huge water snake with a white body and red Madara pattern. That is her true nature. When the flames on her body are extinguished, she will completely shed her demon body and become a human. In other worlds, this is a great demon in the realm of transformation. Its strength will also increase by leaps and bounds. She is gradually losing her animal body. When she wakes up again, she will become a real human like us, not just a human transformed by devil fruit. Bai Yi explained to them, and the 3 of them relaxed. After confirming that the self-cultivation furnace can be used, Bai Yi plans to refine some weapons for Hancock and others. "What type of weapons do you want? I will refine a few for you." Hancock shook his head. "I don't need it, I always use kicking skills, and the Wudo Gai you gave me is enough." Bai Yi nodded. Although Wudo Gai is good, it was the magic weapon he first refined. Now, he has the strength to improve it further. Give me your Wudo guy, and I will upgrade it for you. Hancock obediently took the red beads from his wrists and ankles and handed them to Bai Yi. Then, he asked Sony and Mary. Mary has always used a long-handled broadsword, and she still likes to use this type of weapon. Sonia had not used weapons before, but she thought about it and said, I want to use a spear. Spears, bows and arrows are the most commonly used weapons by the Nine Snakes female warriors. Even if they don't use them themselves, they know the corresponding techniques. Good. He took out the material from the capsule and wrapped it with chi. Moreover, he discovered that Op Fruit's internal operation ability gave him a lot more skills when refining the weapon. Sonia and Mary walked out of the refining room. They knew that their sister and Bai Yi's purpose was to overthrow the world government and kill all the celestial dragons. But this requires strong support. In the past few years, they have been working hard to train the soldiers on the island, and they dare not relax for a moment. After achieving some results in their training, they went to sea to fight pirates to consolidate their training results. Hancock stayed in the alchemy room because he was worried about Salome. On the one hand, she can accompany Bai Yi, and on the other hand, she can always pay attention to Salome's situation. If there is an accident, you can help yourself. Suddenly, the movements of practicing in the hands of day and night stopped. A monocular was drilled out of the capsule. He put it on his eyes and saw an extremely interesting scene. It was an old and somewhat dilapidated room. The flying insect is squatting on a shelf, transmitting everything in front of it back from this angle. I saw 4 figures in the room. They are Big Bear, Jinny, Dragon, and Crow. But both the dragon and the crow were wrapped in bandages, and they were obviously seriously injured and had not yet recovered. Especially Crow, who coughed from time to time and seemed to be seriously injured. Jinny was holding a baby in her arms on the bed, and its face was almost completely covered by cyan scales. Beb. Ginny's not dead. This was Bai Yi's first reaction when he saw this scene. I remember Jinny died within minutes of giving birth to Bonnie. Why does it seem like there are still a few more days left to live? He didn't know what happened, but he only heard Long's extremely dissatisfied tone. Big Bear, you save Bonnie. I have no problem with Bonnie being an important companion of ours, but aren't the other soldiers of the Revolutionary Army companions? Even if you don't go to meet them, you should at least tell me so that we can be prepared. Now, Ivankov is captured and Crow almost dies in battle. Do you know what you're doing? Big Bear lowered his head and said in a dull tone, Long, I'm sorry, I was only thinking about Jinny at the time and forgot about these things. But Dragon, he suddenly plucked up the courage. Jinny and Bonnie's illness can still be cured. I contacted a famous doctor. He said there is a chance of cure. The dragon became even more angry when he heard this. What's the chance? Jinny is already in the late stage of jade scales. What's the chance? Is it 1%? Moreover, the cost of the operation is as high as 5 billion Baileys. Is that so-called famous doctor credible? The success rate is less than 1%. Even if he fails, no one can say anything about him. Do you know what this means? The soldiers of the Revolutionary Army were killed in action. We need to provide pensions to their families. We also need a lot of money to train new soldiers. 5 billion. Don't say that we don't have so much money now. Even if we do, you know what this money means. What are you wearing? He was so angry that he didn't even say it behind Ginny's back. But Jinny didn't mean to blame. She looked at Bonnie in her arms with a responsible look on her face. This is her child, but also the child of the celestial dragons. Dragon, Ginny's weak voice came. I know that my body is hopeless, and I don't need treatment, but Bonnie is only in the early stage of jade scales, and she still has. Get rid of it. For the sake of our past friendship, save Bonnie. Long looked at Bonnie coldly. Save the children of the celestial dragons. Jinny, don't you know the purpose of our revolution? It is to overthrow the world government and pull the celestial dragons off the altar. Jinny said. But Bonnie is innocent, she doesn't know anything. Besides, it's better if we don't tell her life experience. Tell Bonnie her father isn't a celestial dragon, he's a bear. Da Shang was shocked when he heard this, and his expression became even cooler. He didn't dare to accept Ginny's confession back then, but Jinny has always loved him. Long didn't want to argue with them anymore and walked away. Jinny, Big Bear, you are also veteran cadres of the Revolutionary Army. You should know which is more important. That's all. Crow, who are we? Tisk, tisk, it was a good show. Bai Yi Yangshen came out of his body and turned into invisible energy. In a moment, he came to South Blue Soul Kingdom and found the hiding place of Big Bear and Jinny. When he arrived at the port, the dragon and the crow had just left. Seeing the two of them behind, he chuckled and knocked on the door of Big Bear's room. Who? Da Shang's dull voice sounded, and he wondered if it was long returning. Sure enough, he still cares about the friendship of our revolutionary army. However, when he opened the door, he found an unknown person standing beside the door. Who is your excellency? Bai Yi smiled and said, Bai Yi. The Big Bear looked stern. He knew this name. It was his men who rescued Jinny and freed the slaves of Mariajoy. Thank you, your excellency. Big Bear solemnly thanked him. The last time I saw it was a doll, this time I finally saw the real person. Ginny's terminal illness has no solution. Bai Yi got straight to the point and stated his purpose. Including Bonnie, Jade Scales can heal. As soon as he said these words, Big Bear's eyes suddenly burst into light of hope. Do you really mean what you say? For Bonnie, he was even willing to be transformed by the world government and have his consciousness wiped out to become a slave to the celestial dragons. It shows how deeply he loves Jinny. Now, Jinny is not dead yet. As long as he can cure Jinny, he is willing to pay any price. Bai Yi said, in the world today, there are only two people who can cure the terminal illness of Sapphire Scale. He held out two fingers. First, it's Vegapunk, but the cost of surgery is extremely high. And he is currently working for the world government. If you go to him, it is equivalent to making a deal with the world government. They are the revolutionary army, and Jinny is a slave of the celestial dragons, making a deal with the world government, and the bear knows what it will pay with its toes. What about the second way? The only hope lies in the second way. Since Bai Yi personally talked about this matter, that is to say, the second way is related to him. Second, it's me. Bai Yi pointed to himself. I can cure all terminal diseases in the world. Big Bear's breathing became rapid in an instant. Seriously. Absolutely true. Bai Yi said. Of course, there is no free lunch in the world. If I take action, you will still need to pay a corresponding price. This, as expected by Big Bear, he asked eagerly, I am willing to pay any price. Bai Yi shook his head and said with a smile, don't worry, what if I tell you to quit the revolutionary army? Da Shang froze. The revolutionary army was the place that brought hope to him and Jinny. There were many of his old comrades there. How can I quit the revolutionary army? However, thinking of what Long said just now, he felt very sad. While he was thinking about it, Ginny's voice came from inside the house. Big Bear, Yui is here. Ginny's voice made him determined. For Jinny, even if he was asked to quit the revolutionary army, he was willing. Okay, I agree. While answering Bai Yi, he said gently to Jinny in the room, a guest came and said he can cure your disease. Jinny can rest assured, I will cure you in 10 steps. Bai Yi was not surprised by Da Shang's choice. This guy is always a licker and would do anything for Jinny. Quit the revolutionary drama and serve me. Bai Yi said, of course, I can also give you a few promises. First, although the paths taken by me and the revolutionary army are different, you don't need to deal with the revolutionary army. Second, my purpose is the same as yours, to overthrow the world government and kill all the celestial dragons. Oh, don't be nervous, Bonnie is the exception. From now on, you are her father. Third, I only need your help. Jinny and Bonnie don't need to do anything for me. Big Bear agreed without thinking. No problem, when can we treat Jinny? Bai Yi said, I need to prepare some things and come to treat them tomorrow. After the words fell, he turned into chi and dissipated in the air. Although it is convenient to visit Deluo Cave, you still need to be there in person to use both hands, and only Yang Shen cannot do it. Returning to Nine Snakes City in an instant, in Hancock's opinion, it was just that he was in a daze for a while and then came back to his senses. She thought Bai Yi was just thinking about how to refine it. As soon as Yang Shen returned, he closed his eyes again and his consciousness came to the doll. He had already arranged for Monet, Sugar, Sisters and Agent to go out. Solomon was the only one left on the boat, which seemed a bit empty. It is necessary to arrange a handyman for the dolls, or to develop an intelligent ship navigation system. There is also the doll itself. I need to operate everything big and small myself, which is quite troublesome. Is there any way to increase its command recognition range? The doll actually possesses a certain level of intelligence. For example, the person who guards the furnace room of Shushen furnace. Or housework such as cleaning and cooking. However, when talking to others, making decisions in unexpected situations, etc., the doll does not have the ability to distinguish independently. The most convenient solution is to use Big Mom's soul fruit to give the doll a soul using homets. In this way, the doll will have self-awareness. Or, you can use Moria's shadow fruit to add a strong shadow to him, which will not only enhance the doll's strength, but also give him the ability to think. Although the shadow of the strong man is difficult to obtain, it is not impossible. For example, a strong man who is seriously injured and unconscious has no ability to protect his shadow. Haha, Garp, luckily I didn't kill you. I laughed wildly in my heart, isn't this a ready-made master? As for whether the shadow is obedient, he still has both hands. The red hand modifies the body, and the blue hand modifies the soul. The shadow itself also contains part of the soul, so it can inherit the strength of the original owner. It is not difficult to modify it, infuse it with new cognition, and make it completely obey your own orders. As for whether Moria will be hunted, he can completely change Moria's appearance and make him disappear from the world. As long as he doesn't make any big noise, he won't be discovered by the world government. Tell Solomon to sail to South Blue. Treating Jinny itself requires little preparation. But he plans to let the bear join the puppet's men and enter the underground world. Then, his consciousness returned, and he came out of his body again, carrying a bite bag, and arrived at Marineford in an instant. Marineford's security is extremely tight, but Yongshen is invisible and has no substance, so they can't detect it at all. It didn't take long to find Garp's ward. Thanks to the efforts of the Marine medical team, Garp's injuries have stabilized and he is now soundly asleep. The figure appeared in the ward and drew an ecstasy mark on his palm, causing Garp to fall into coma again. The bite capsule was aimed at his body and the Marine hero was taken into the bite capsule. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.